And welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. We say it every time. You know where to find us. We're live, lovely, and in color only if you're watching on twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit or on youtube.com/at Pride of Detroit. But get podcasts, the PODcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I've learned how liberating a saying that is, because the fun thing about podcasts is we're not beholden to a platform. It could be iTunes. It could be Spotify, Google, Stitcher. Is Stitcher still a thing? Sure. Why not? That's where you get podcasts. And that's what has kept us live and going for 9, going on 10 years here very soon. It has been a long this is going to be year number 9. I should say 8 going on 9, but I want to juice the numbers. We have a lot to do in the off season. I am Chris Perfett, the adequate host, at Chris Perfett on Twitter, PERFETT, being very adequate for getting numbers to begin this thing. But if you are new to us, welcome. We don't go away in the offseason here on the Detroit Lions PODcast. We keep going all day, all night long, and here we are. It's after can we call it the Super Bowl? I don't think we have to do the big game thing, Jeremy Rising,
I don't think so.
Leader at Detroit Online.
No,
that was always the best thing growing up.
Unless we're selling used cards, this isn't the Super Bowl sale, so I think we're okay. But yeah, no, it was a fun Super Bowl after I think we got over the first quarter of these teams suck right now. Why couldn't this be us? But yeah, it really picked up really in the fourth quarter and overtime, and so it's a fun night.
Hold that thought on. All that, because that is some of the topics here. We're going to investigate the Super Bowl from a Lions side of things, plus plenty of news, plus NFL honors reactions, and Frank Ragnow not retiring, still keeping strong, getting you ready for the offseason here. But first, Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Ryan was having fun with the Super Bowl halftime show. And for those on the podcast, Ryan's whiteboard today, the Woody Page whiteboard, Kyle Shanahan is just 2000 to 2004 Andy Reid.
Sunny days ahead. He'll eventually get a Super Bowl.
I saw the stat that Kyle Shanahan, as an offensive coordinator and a head coach in the fourth quarter in OT, has been outscored 68-12.
He'd make a great Ben Johnson replacement when Ben Johnson becomes head coach and the 49ers fire him next year.
Yeah, some of his game management will have to obviously be deferred to
Dan Campbell. It's
Dan
perfect.
Campbell.
It's perfect.
Yeah. You know what? It would be a perfect marriage. But yeah,
Dan Campbell would teach his team the overtime rules, and Kyle Shanahan could call the plays.
And he'd be like, Kyle, no, we're not passing it here. We need to burn clock. There's a lot, I think, that is outside the purview of this podcast in regards to Shanahan and Brock Purdy, because I think that was the high watermark of Brock Purdy. But that's neither here nor there. We're for the Lions fans, and I want to ask the question that after about a half and a half of a quarter, so after 2.5 quarters, all Lions fans were thinking, Jeremy, Ryan, and it's one that you told me, Jeremy, we need to talk about, and I almost felt dread because it makes me realize that I have to talk about the woulda, shoulda, couldas. But, man, that game was sloppy from both the 49ers and the Chiefs. And Lions fans were asking, the Lions belonged here. Could they have beaten the Chiefs, or were they a better team than the 49ers?
Well, I think before I answer, I think we have to acknowledge how absurd the question is to begin with, right? Because
they got beat by the 49ers.
Because one, they got beat by the 49ers, and two, how they played on Sunday against each other is not necessarily how they play against the Lions, right? They have different game plans. The players are attacking the ball differently. The players are running the ball differently. It's an absurd conversation to have, and there is no way to prove one way being right or the other. But I would say there's a couple things. One, I think, and I refer to the first half as sloppy, but I think in general, that narrative is a little bit being overplayed because I think people tend to think offensive failure equals sloppy and not good defense, which both of these teams had. And yes, the Lions hung 24 on the 49ers in one half of football a couple weeks ago. But who's to say that, you play that game 10 times. Is it going to play out like that every time? I don't know. Probably not. And also, the 49ers knew they were going to be in a boat race with the Lions, so they just kind of adopted that mentality of it's going to be a shootout. If the Chiefs were going up against the Lions, maybe they would adopt the kind of same shootout mentality. And could the Lions hold Mahomes to one less score than the Lions? I mean, yes, they did it back in week 1, but I think we can both agree both teams are way different than they were back in week 1. So, long story short, maybe, but I think the further away we get from the NFC Championship game, the further we remember, like further the memories of the downsides of this Lions team were. Like, defensively, they were bad. Defensively, that's kind of the reason they lost in the NFC Championship. I mean, not the sole reason, but I think there tends to be this narrative that only the Lions made mistakes in the second half of that NFC Championship game. The 49ers didn't do anything. It was just the Lions shooting themselves in the foot. Offensively, there's a lot of truth to that. Defensively, there was a bouncing off the face mask, and that's it. Like, the 49ers scored on every second half possession, and that's because they have a really good offense and the Lions have a very bad defense. And so we can't overlook the Lions' very bad defense just because both offenses struggled on the Super Bowl.
Let me start by saying this, is that to part of the question, do you think they were a better team than the 49ers? The 49ers absolutely got away from their identity. And that's really hard to figure out because, yes, you could get away from your identity and go to Brock Purdy, and the Lions defense is able to get carved up a little bit easier because Brandon Ayuk can get free a little bit more. But, man, that was rough watching them not run Christian McCaffrey out there. I felt like, again, the Lions, if we're looking at the question of whether the Lions could have beaten the Chiefs, it comes down to 3 things. Number one, this is the point in the positive for the Lions. I think they would have better game planning, better ideas on what to do with the clock, and they would have known how to run the football better and would have been a much better varied offense than what we saw out of the 49ers last night in Super Bowl. What is the number on this? 58?
Yep.
58. There's no doubt in my mind, this was not a good game by the 49ers, and that's been kind of the tale of the 49ers in these entire playoffs. They haven't played good games. They haven't played good halves. They have a good half. I disagree with you on how sloppy it was because the fumbles are just all over the field. And I don't know. I don't think no amount of defense makes an entire half where the 49ers just don't get a first down. You're supposed to be a lot more effective as a team than that, and you're not. But then I think the Lions could have handled the bigger picture a lot better. I think they could have been much better prepared, and I think they had a much more varied set of weapons to attack the Chiefs. But could they have beaten the Chiefs? That other team just showed you why you're not going to beat the Chiefs, because they have Patrick Mahomes. And when Patrick Mahomes gets going, and there's no weapon on earth that can stop that man when he decides to get going. And I know Lions fans are already gearing up and saying, well, we beat them week 1. This isn't the same team as week 1 at all. No, you wouldn't have. This one, it feels a lot harsher to have dealt with. And the other part, and that's the other big point, is that this Super Bowl, a lot of this run to the Super Bowl for the Chiefs was won by their defense. Spagnuolo proved he's got chops as a defensive coordinator. And I'm sorry, the Lions did not have to deal with Chris Jones to start the year. I think they could have probably scored more on the Chiefs defense, but I think ultimately when it would have been crunch time and there'd be some dialed up stuff, I don't know. I'd love to sit here and say that the Lions would have beaten these Chiefs, but I think we saw late in that game why the Chiefs are almost damn near impossible to put away no matter what you do to them, because they'll have, when you least expect it, they'll have something dialed up on a third down where they'll catch you completely off guard. And then before you know it, Patrick Mahomes is waltzing down the field for a touchdown. I do know, however, that Dan Campbell probably wouldn't have taken the ball first in overtime.
Really quick before Ryan gets in here, because I want to go off the Spagnuolo stuff. Like, that guy almost deserves assistant coach of the year just for the postseason. Holds Miami to 7 points. Holds the Bills to 24, although they missed a field goal, which feels like it should have been.
And then
27.
holds the Ravens to a
10.
season low.
Yeah, 10 points. And then the 49ers to 19 in regulation, 22 overall. That's how they won. That's how they won the Super Bowl. It was an incredible defensive performance, and they've got so many superstars on the defensive. Like, they're a true, like, all three tiers of defense. And so Lions would have had some problem. Like, if you thought the 49ers gave them trouble in the first half, that Chiefs defense was going to give the Lions some issues all game.
Yeah. I think it really comes down to, could the Detroit Lions beat the Kansas City Chiefs in the third quarter? And the Chiefs won that contest last night 10-0. So I don't know. Like, it is a bit of a silly proposition, and I get it. And if you want to use the transitive property of, the Lions beat the Chiefs earlier in the year, you guys already talked about that. But I think that the Chiefs defense, this is like the best version of their defense that they've had in the Patrick Mahomes era. And the other thing too, that the Lions did a rather good job of keeping Mahomes in check as a runner in the game that they played. I mean, they were calling designed runs for Patrick Mahomes, and it was scary because he was running.
That's when I knew the game was over, Ryan.
Yeah,
that overtime run, like, I'm like, game over.
Yeah, I mean, before I think the angriest run of the night. Funny enough, like in a game that featured Isaiah Pacheco and Christian McCaffrey, the angriest run of the night felt like that Travis Kelce catch, where it looked like he was putting everything out there. Like, he was laying it all out on that crosser route that he almost took the house. But that 49ers defensive back got in the way and ended up with what looked like a stinger or something. But
on the shoulder,
yeah, but I don't know. The Chiefs, damn good football team, and Patrick Mahomes is an alien. Like, I keep saying it, but I mean, the guy's just superb.
He's not an alien. He's a goat.
He's an alien goat.
He's an alien goat.
But I because I feel like everyone's gonna be like, wow, you guys are so negative on the Lions, whatever. I do want to say this. After watching that game, I did not feel like the Lions were outclassed by either of those teams. I would put all three of those teams in the same overall tier. Like, on any given day, yeah, the Lions could have won the Super Bowl. If we're just talking about, putting those four teams back in a tournament and just running that tournament 10, 15 times, do I think the Lions come out winners about a quarter of the time? Kind of, yeah, I do. Like, I think they were that good. I just don't think it was destined to happen this year. I think the defense. I think if you put all four teams in the same basket, the Lions have the biggest weakness of the four, which is their pass defense. And that would have ultimately sank them in this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's the only reason. I agree with you. I think maybe if you play the Super Bowl 10 times between Chiefs and Lions probably win about 4 of those, I would say. Like, I'm giving an edge to the Chiefs because it's Patrick Mahomes at the end of the day. He does have answers. I just don't think when it was like, that proved everything you need to at the end. And like, this is not just a Patrick Mahomes with the best defense he's had. That's Patrick Mahomes, Ryan, with the worst weapons he's had. He had no help. I watched Marquez Valdez-Scantling turn a gain of about 6 yards into a loss of 4 somehow. I don't understand how that man plays football. Like, he did that with a box of spare parts from a closed down Radio Shack. What do you think against the 49ers defense? How do you think they would have picked on Kindle Vildor? And I'm sorry, I don't mean to pick on Kindle Vildor myself.
And by the way, you do
come to mind.
You do mean a broken down Radio Shack, not even a broken down shack, which is what they were called over the past 10 years. You're talking like 15 years ago.
I used to go to Radio Shack all the time for spare parts, man. I needed that for my jobs. Ryan's just nodding his head. Like, we don't have anything else to say about Mahomes.
He's too young to remember Radio Shack.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Are we bringing back the Ryan is young jokes? Because I'm here for it.
That's an old meme. Do you mind if I butcher the rundown for a second?
Yeah. I mean, no, I don't mind. Go for it.
Okay. let's move on to the next biggest topic. I didn't think it was really not much of a conversation that this was going to happen, and yet somehow I know we got a little bit spooked. But Frank Ragnow will be back with the Detroit Lions. That's the other big subject that I think came out of the week leading up to the Super Bowl that concerned Lions fans. Like, we had heard some talk from Frank after the loss to the 49ers. He sounded pretty defeated. He had sounded pretty like hurt, banged up. This game is cruel. And he has several inoperable injuries, I think, on his toe. Jeremy, is that correct? And there was speculation, but he did, however, announce, and I have the quote here, that, quote, "I just need a few weeks to get healthy. I guess my typical offseason routine is kind of get right back into it. But I think as I'm getting older, I need to understand that sometimes maybe less is more, and I just need some time to make sure I'm healthy again, and then we'll get rolling." Jeremy, there's no secret that one of the secret sauces to the Lions O-line is Frank.
Yeah.
He is the center's center. And I could understand Lions fans getting a little nervous when he started talking about that, but I am glad to see him coming back. I'm wondering how many more years we'll continue to see him, whether this contract will be his last NFL contract or just how long we will have Frank under center. Is that continuing to be a pressing concern for you covering the Detroit Lions, or can they rest easy thinking Frank can play probably like 3-4 more years?
Well, he signed through 2026, so he does have 3 more years on the contract. That's the good news. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, part of this feels like Lions fans manifested this news to begin with, because, I mean, they just looked at it kind of objectively from the outside. Like, this guy is going through so many injuries 3 years in a row now, where it's just like, you think about it as yourself. Like, would you put yourself through that year in and year out, where you're always on the injury report, you're limping through the locker room every time, like literally every single day you have to take practices off every single week? Can you mentally and physically go through that? I mean, we've seen a guy like Calvin Johnson retire partially because of going through something similar to that. And to us, like, it's easy to say, of course I wouldn't put myself through that. Like, I want to be able to, play catch with my kids and chase them around the backyard and whatever, like all that sort of stuff. And I'm sure all that stuff matters to Frank, but also he's never really hinted at retirement at all. And I understand, like, you can read into his post-game comments and locker room clean-out day comments and be like, that sounds like a guy who's not so certain about his future. But I think that was, again, like, we have this thing that's already in our mind. We hear some kind of vague quotes and like, uh-oh, this guy's retiring. And I was very glad that Dave Burkett was down at the Super Bowl, and very glad that in no uncertain terms Frank Ragnow says, I'm not retiring. And so it's hard to say. It's hard to say. People are wired differently. Some people love the game so much that they're willing to put themselves through quite a bit. Frank is 28 years old, so if he wants to, he can play for another 10 years, right? Like, he's that good. He's a top 3 center. He's going to continue to get paid to play here. He's very important to what the Lions do here in terms of, calling out protections, in terms of getting everyone on the same page, in terms of being an extremely smart player. I think that's the part of Frank Ragnow that gets overlooked and underappreciated. It's just how smart he is and how good of a position he puts a guy like Jared Goff before the ball's even snapped. And so all that's really important, and I can't tell you what's going on in Frank's mind. I can't tell you that, oh yeah, he's going to sign another contract in Detroit, or oh yeah, like once the end of 2026 happens, he's done. I don't know. At this point, I'm not even leaning one way or the other, because frankly, he needs to tell me before I get any sort of inkling, because again, like, there has not been a word of I'm thinking about retiring or anything like that coming from Ragnow's camp. That is just something that has been bubbling in the Lions fan base, I think, out of like a place of anxiety.
Yeah. Well, you said frankly, and that made me pop, and I saw chat caught up on that too. So here's, I guess, my 2 cents about Frank. If he's not the most important non-quarterback on the offense, you know what I mean? Like, he's third.
Close. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like, he's so critical to everything they do for all the reasons that you just listed. He's irreplaceable in terms of, I don't think you're going to find that with the 29th pick in the draft. And like, if had Frank decided to step away from football, that would have been like my largest concern heading into the season, regardless what they did to fix it. Like, even if they wanted to bring, if they end up bringing back Graham and they sign Glasgow, like, yeah, I want him playing guard. It doesn't seem like center is his, is where he should be playing. He can fill in a pinch, and he can, fill in spots there. But Frank is he's so incredibly important to everything they do. And I think one of the underrated aspects of it, and I think a lot of people know Frank's story and the type of, really close relationship that he had with his father. Frank's wife, Lucy, gave birth to their son, or their child this off season in August. He's a new dad. He's probably thinking, hey, like, I want to be, you mentioned it, Jeremy, but like, I want to be able to play with my kid and not be, lumbering around with injuries and making sure that, I'm trying to. Alex Anzalone mentioned it in the Players Tribune, right? Talking about all the players like the day of could barely get out of bed. I have to imagine that Frank was one of those guys with the laundry list of injuries he had. So I'm assuming that Frank probably loves being a father, and I'm sure he wants to be, 100% or as close to 100% as he can. And football takes a toll on the mind, body, and soul. And I hope that he plays his football for as long as he feels committed to it. And, us as Lions fans, we're a little bit spoiled, I think, with the offensive line, and Frank is a big reason why.
Well, you know what can help Frank get back into fighting shape?
Probably meat sticks.
He's going to be tearing into some Righteous Felon craft jerky and meat sticks throughout the offseason. Jeremy, not a visual medium on the podcast side, holding up the bag of OG Hickory. That's the standard jerky flavor. But guess what? They got so much more, man. They got Korean barbecue. They got biltong, which is like some South African stuff. The teriyaki Balboa, again, typical. But then they got like the Maryland Monroe, the Maryland crab spice. Where do you get that? Truffalo Bill, truffles on your. I love that stuff. I gotta get some more. But yes, because the Pride of Detroit POD cast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels your Detroit Lions because it's available to Lions players at the training facilities at Allen Park. They can get the meat sticks and jerky, whatever they so desire. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky, 16 to 20 grams of protein. Each stick has 8 grams. We've been doing these reads a long time. We have to keep reminding people this isn't just us saying this because they're paying us. We do like this stuff. We love this stuff. Why? Because Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania, with locally sourced all-natural black Angus beef. And we're about to make it better for you. 15% off your first order. Go to, or any order, really. First, second, third, fourth, I don't care. Any order. Why'd I even say first? I don't know, because I'm adequate. POD15 at checkout at righteousfelon.com gets 15% off your order anytime. It supports us, supports yourself with the gift of meat. That's it. I don't know what else it supports. What could it be supporting? Who knows? You know what we're going to be supporting next in the Pride of Detroit POD cast? Was Dan Campbell snubbed for Coach of the Year? Was Ben Johnson? We'll discuss that next. Pride of Detroit POD cast.
Look at this tender meat.
Brack beef.
Look at that. Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ. I haven't eaten it all today. Might actually go rip into. I think I still have a bag of the turkey jerky around here. Or actually, no, wait. You know what?
I will say, as someone that's paying a little bit more attention, I don't know if it's macros. I don't really know what the word macros is, but people say it all the time, so I feel like I need to say it.
Okay.
But who's paying more attention to protein intake and calorie intake. It's a pretty smart snack.
I'd have to imagine it's high on the protein.
I can say
it is. This bag, which is how many ounces? 2 ounces. It feels like more than that. 140 calories, 20 grams of protein.
I just got the barbecue.
It's a pretty good
Their,
trade-off.
spicy barbecue one is really good.
High in the sodium? Nah, it's not that bad. You get 30% of your daily intake with this whole bag.
Your body needs sodium too. Your body needs salt as much as it needs water.
Why is Hamza pushing Trubisky for QB3? You're gonna have to ask him.
Ask him.
Sicko mode stuff, man.
He
He was also pushing. I don't know. I can tell this Super Bowl wasn't Jeremy's favorite because it was a very special team Super Bowl. Speaking of Hamza,
It sure was. Both in the positive and negative direction.
I couldn't believe that a 55-yard field goal hadn't been kicked in Super Bowl history.
Right?
I found that to be very surprising. And then Harrison Butker
yeah.
topped it.
Yeah.
yeah, the first record stood for about 30 years, and then that record stood for 30 minutes.
Yeah. And that Butker kick was a line drive.
Yeah.
Like
they
that was
showed a
the
really
one with
good
the high-
replay
the high
of.
snap.
That was a
Yeah.
three. That was the 3-1.
Probably should have gotten blocked, but let me talk to chat. Bring up some alerts here. Someone suggested wheel pain, and I feel like we're probably overdue for a spin on the wheel pain or two.
Oh no.
We've got 5 left. I think we need to 5 normal spins and 2 extreme wheel of pains.
Yeah. And I got a bowl of jelly beans to eat.
True.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let me get to the alerts here. Starting off with the incorrigible No Decaf, a 39-month subscription, says, I would have run the football, but I'm built different.
You want to talk about losing the game? After losing the game, you're driving down the field. You got a chance to under 2 minutes to ice this thing to take as much time off because you don't want to give Patrick Mahomes any time. And you throw? You throw the football? Why?
Oh, there was a lot of coaching malpractice that we didn't get a chance to talk about because we wanted to move on to Lions things. But
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan, I mean, could you get the sense that on that final Chiefs drive in regulation, Shanahan called that one timeout to probably tell Steve Wilkes to knock it off? Like, why are you playing soft coverage and letting the Chiefs just get 8 yards, 6 yards, 7 yards at a time? And before they knew it, the Chiefs could viably score a touchdown here and end the football game.
I don't
Not a great look from Steve Wilkes. The overtime stuff I think is interesting. We should probably talk about that a little bit in terms of Shanahan's decision and.
But before you do though, only 80 yards for Christian McCaffrey in this game. 22 carries.
Well, he had 160 yards total though, Chris.
Oh yeah, I mean I'm sorry, I forgot about the receptions, but
Yeah.
even still, you know what? I look at that and you know what I say, Ryan? Not enough. Not enough. Why is Brock Purdy trying to throw the ball 38 times? It felt like near the end of the game, especially as they got away from Christian McCaffrey, it's like you're trying to make fetch happen. You're trying to make Brock Purdy my fucking MVP again, and I hate it. And I hate everyone today who is letting Brock Purdy off the hook. I hate this. It must be great to be a 49ers quarterback for you to compare you to fucking Tom Brady. Keep calling you Mr. Irrelevant. The CBS crew at the end saying, Brock Purdy didn't lose this game. He played awesome. The Chiefs won it. No, Brock Purdy was not good in this game. He was pedestrian at best. I'm sorry, but I'm not doing this. I hate that because we spent an entire year doing Brock Purdy MVP stuff. We can't do this where suddenly he's MVP, and then he's playing pedestrian, loses you the game, and suddenly it becomes it's not his fault. He's Mr. Irrelevant. He was picked last. What do you want? He's young. He's a young quarterback. He's gonna make mistakes. Come on, man. This is the fucking Super Bowl. Come on. Juwan Jennings had as many touchdown passes
Oh
as
God!
Brock
Here
Purdy.
we go. All right. Yeah, the opinions and views expressed by Chris Perfett do not reflect the rest of this show. I thought Brock Purdy had a fine game. He couldn't beat the blitz. That was a huge problem.
Yeah.
When they put an extra defender in his face, not a lot of good stuff happened. I mean, you should probably block Chris Jones. He should be a guy that gets blocked for sure.
I
mean,
thought
he
the
wasn't-
49ers
he-
offensive line was bad. Like, because
Yeah,
even
it
when they
wasn't-
were
wasn't
running
that
the
good,
game,
yeah. They had
running the
injuries
ball.
too, I think, throughout the
Yeah.
game. Yeah.
but like even
Speaking
when they
of
were
that-
running the ball, it feels like they were in a lot of like second and third and longs.
Oh, okay. I want to talk about that. I missed the first drive.
Yeah. Which
I went to go pick up Hibachi.
almost their best drive too of the entire
Yeah,
game that ends in a
right.
turnover.
Yeah, so I come back because I checked on my phone and I was like, oh, the 49ers are just moving the ball right down the field. And that's
Yeah.
kind of impressive on a first drive. But as soon as I got home, it felt like for almost the entire half, every single drive was off schedule.
Yeah.
It was like 2nd and 13 or 3rd and 14. And it was like all these like,
A lot of
I
negative
mean, what-
plays.
right, a lot of either negative plays or penalties. 100% absolute an ugly, ugly death is deserved for automatic first down penalties.
Oh my
Automatic
god,
first
that
down
one,
penalties need to absolutely die a terrible, elongated death.
Yes. Welcome.
I hated that.
Welcome everybody.
Yeah, yeah. Jeremy, do your best, Rick James.
That's exactly what I was doing.
Yeah, yeah. But no, I mean, Chris, like
yeah.
that drive from the excuse me, from the 49ers that absolutely got bailed out. It was the overtime drive, right? It was the
Yeah.
first drive of overtime.
They were dead to rights. They had no business getting down that field. None.
Nope. And then, man, a ticky-tack holding call.
They were all over it on the broadcast, and by all over it I mean they're like oh yep, that was the right call. Although I feel like there's one rules analyst that is just like an absolute like defender of the shield, and I'm not sure if it's the CBS crew or maybe it's the NBC crew, maybe it's the ESPN crew. It's someone.
It's all of them.
I feel like it's not quite all of them. There's some that I feel like don't necessarily toe the line, but
maybe the B crew and the C crews for the guys
Yeah.
that we get in the regular season. But
Oh god, who was the Fox guy before Blandino? I keep forgetting his name.
I actually think I think Blandino is relatively fair, honestly.
No, but who
but
was the
he's
guy-
also
that's
he's
not
also-
the question I asked.
I know, but I just wanted to say like I feel like he's been the furthest removed. Like he's been gone from the NFL for years, so I almost feel like he's like, okay, I don't have to carry their water anymore.
yeah,
But who was it? Who was it before?
Pereira-
Mike
Pereira.
I thought Pereira was like good. I always thought Pereira was fine.
I don't have a problem with Pereira.
Yeah. I feel I guess the other storylines from this thing, I know you want to talk about the overtime thing, but man, I feel bad for Dre Greenlaw.
Ugh.
we were just talking about it. How many podcasts ago about like freak injuries?
Yeah, right.
I saw the name Stephen Tulloch getting thrown around. Like,
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen one on the sideline though. That's a new one, and that's just God.
Oh,
horrible.
In the Super Bowl.
yeah, in the Super Bowl.
My God.
Actually, I want to do this. Trevor would kind of talk about how annoying Romo was. So the main thing, I don't know how Romo was for a lot of the game, but I really wish the production crew had cut his mic on that final play
Yeah.
because I was actually talking with this with
He committed the cardinal sin, right?
don't let them. Yeah, you didn't let the moment breathe. Like you jumped in like Jim Nance had his line. It was hokey and it was corny, but it was his line.
Yeah.
Kansas jackpot in Kansas City, and immediately you're jumping in to break down the play. Like I always heard about the tale of like I think it was Kevin Harlan. He'd put his arms out like this to signal to his color guy, "Don't say anything while my arms are out." Like you have to let the moment breathe.
Yeah.
You have to let the moment breathe. Romo did yeah, exactly that. He didn't let it breathe. He just immediately jumps in, breaking down and trying to call Mahomes Jordan.
And listen, like I don't think it comes from a place of ego, like wanting to be part of the moment or anything like that. I think Tony Romo is just a guy that loves his job so much. he can't control his emotions during the game. Like,
He's just excitable.
yeah, he was just very excited, and he wanted to tell everybody what exactly happened and all that. There just has to be some composure in that moment and be like, let's wait for us to show the replay, and then you break the play down. But you also have to realize that replay is not coming for like 3 minutes.
I always remember, I like talking about the kick six because I loved watching the kick six.
Mm-hmm.
Still one of my favorite plays in football. Still one of my favorite moments in football. The Alabama-Auburn game in 2013.
It's funny,
the Iron Bowl.
Despite not seeing that play live, I know exactly where I was when it happened.
Oh, I was too. I was picking up a pizza. And the woman running the place was an Alabama fan, and I was not getting my pizza for a while. But yeah, you go back to that. Vern Lundquist is doing his line, no flags, touchdown Auburn, an answered prayer, and then it's not silence because the TV has the crowd going nuts and storming the field for about 3 minutes before Gary Danielson says a single word. That's how you do it.
Yeah. I think it was Colton who tweeted this afternoon or this morning, like, can someone just take Romo out of this clip and send it back to me?
Yeah, either the crew just has to kill the mic, or again, maybe Jim Nance. I don't know. Maybe Nance is a polite guy, but still. Yeah. Kevin Harlan has the system.
I mean, how do you cut someone off mid sentence like that? That would have almost been more awkward. I feel like.
Yeah. No. Once he stops talking, you can't stop him.
Right.
I'm just saying, send him like.
Yeah, you have to.
Either producer in his ear, don't say anything, or Harlan's system, arms out.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't his best performance by any means. Honestly, I think CBS should probably pursue Greg Olsen. I mean, he's looking for a job, right?
Are they taking him out completely, or I thought he was just off the A team?
He's off.
I don't know, but I mean, Brady's taking his spot on the A team, right? Obviously. Yeah. So I don't know. Like, Greg Olsen definitely belongs on the A team somewhere.
Just not away from Lions games.
Sam Laporta.
Greg Olsen on the
were they
Nickelodeon broadcast?
No.
We actually discovered. So I was at Fox Sports to start the Super Bowl coverage. Fox Sports Radio started our Super Bowl for the first 30 minutes of the game. We discovered very quickly, at least on DirecTV, that for some reason Nickelodeon was a half a play ahead of CBS.
I'm like 80% sure this was fake because I got it on TikTok, but like SpongeBob cracked a like semi inappropriate joke, and now I'm trying to remember
about Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was about Andy Reid's weight, but
is that real?
Yeah, that's real.
That's real?
Yeah, that's real. I think. I don't know.
Do you think?
No, I don't know.
Do you think
it seemed real to me when I watched it a couple times?
I don't know why they must have shown. They did show him in the crowd, and then like he says the words 27 or something.
25,
and then like you can hear him kind of mutter like that was a crack on his girlfriends or something.
Yeah,
but what kids are gonna get that joke though?
I get that.
Do you think Nate Burleson looks across that green screen, sees the guy next to him, the ultimate Nepo baby in sports broadcasting, and then across that to a bunch of CG, to the empty space where the CGI SpongeBob is supposed to be, and realize this isn't what I signed up for when I wanted to be the next Michael Strahan?
Honestly, for as little as I know Nate Burleson, I think he's having the frickin' time of his life, honestly.
I'm glad he is then. I'm glad he is, because I know plenty of other guys who'd be looking at that assignment and say, I'm in the dumps.
He's either like someone who can very much put on a brave, happy face, or he's legitimately loving life. Because honestly, like, I don't get the sense he's putting on an act. Everything he does, he's like, he puts a lot of work into, he takes very seriously, but also like does it with the enthusiasm of someone who's thrilled to be there. All right, let me get to more of these alerts, then we can get back into the Super Bowl, maybe talk some coin
Overtime
toss in overtime or whatever we want to talk about. And then we'll do at least one spin on the Wheel of Pain. MJ Kimball, thank you for the 40 months. Says 40 months, 40 beans. I don't know if that's in reference to you, Ryan. I don't know.
40 beans in a bowl with some 1% milk coming your way.
Dan Pask, 34-month subscriber to the channel, says, I'm here for Ryan's whiteboard. Go Lions. We test ran a couple different options there today. I think we landed on a good one.
I think so too.
Joshua Mercer 100-bit says, let's go, fellas. Jeremy's favorite time of year, mock draft season.
Fact.
Nope. Cordy Aaron, 50-month subscribed to the channel, says, been a hot second since I could make it here. What a wild season. Yeah, it has been a while, Cordy, but appreciate the, what is that, over 4 years of support? That's crazy. One Lord, thank you for the follow. Caitlin Rose, 6-month subscribed to the channel, says, did Bugs play any snaps? I don't know, but I definitely saw him there with the Lombardi because I still follow him on Instagram. So it's a good question. I don't know. There's, I very much have mixed feelings about Isaiah Bugs because on one hand, like, he had a really rough year, right? It was probably tough mentally to go through what he went through in Detroit. And for him to kind of cap off that tough year with a Super Bowl is like, okay, good story for him. But I think a lot of us have seen the deleted tweet after his first win in Kansas City where he said, like, finally I get to play with some real dogs or something like that.
Yeah.
Sorry, who are we talking about again?
Isaiah Bugs.
Oh, okay.
And so I kind of have a lot less sympathy for that, and I don't know. I go back and forth on it because obviously, like I said, like it was a very emotional year for him. It was very tough for him, and we saw even when he got benched, right? Like there was a bunch of tweets that he ended up deleting in week 1 or week 2 or whatever it was. And so I mean, if his biggest crime is being emotional online, welcome to the new normal, right? Like that's everybody at this point. So I don't know.
Most people.
I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt here, even if he did take a pretty big cheap shot at the Lions.
The Lions did bench him. Yeah, I mean, I think you're allowed to, if you get doubted, you're allowed to, like, I don't even know if it's a cheap shot. It's just a matter of, like, look, man, like, you got at a pretty low point. So, I don't know.
Frogbark says he was inactive for the Super Bowl.
Well,
I believe
Isaiah Bugs doesn't eat, or what Isaiah Bugs eats doesn't make me shit. So, you know, he won a Super Bowl. Happy for him. Go ahead.
There you go. Where was I? Oh, Das Gibb. Thank you for the 28-month subscribe to the channel. On Twitch says, is the offseason over yet? 2025 Super Bowl. That's the attitude that I want in this chat. When is the offseason over?
What was it like? I think I saw a countdown already. It was like 206 days until football.
Something like that. Oh, that's a very depressing countdown when it's more than half of a year.
Listen, I'm just going to... Once pitchers and catchers report here, and I think,
gosh, here we go. Baseball.
No, I'm just saying, like, you don't need to follow the baseball, but I'm just going to go into that hibernation, and then we'll come back out for football.
Turtle, something turtle.
The voice of the turtle.
Yeah,
that's Ernie Harwell. You put some respect on his fucking name.
Lord knows I can't hide in college basketball right now.
Knowing that this city contains both Monty Williams and whoever the coach is of the 0-26 Detroit Mercy Titans, is somehow, compared to those two, Juwan Howard still the worst of those as far as basketball coaches?
No, it's 100% Monty Williams. Watching Monty Williams coach a basketball game is one of the most frustrating experiences I've ever had as a Pistons fan. Like,
it's like,
I'll tell you the thing that he does that drives me absolutely nuts, and I can keep it really short and sweet. He does wholesale lineup changes. takes all 5 guys on the floor, off the floor, puts in 5 guys off the bench. Like,
So he's trying new things.
high school coaches with far less experience than Monty Williams don't do things like that. It's the most aggravating thing to watch because every time it happens, the Pistons, like, they're on the losing end of like an 11-0 run. And it's like, okay, cool. Well,
was it Larry Brown or Flip Saunders who just had that reputation of always playing like veteran guys?
that was Larry Brown. That's why
Was it-
Darko Milicic probably
Yeah.
went into a deep depression.
Monty Williams kind of reminds me of a far less successful Larry Brown. Because it's the same philosophy, I feel like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
the
don't know.
rotation changes are killing me.
I am
I always
going
know
to
when
a
a Pist-
Red Wings game this month, which I'm very excited about. It's
Ooh.
been a while.
Yay.
I always know when a Pistons game is on because I usually see about 3 or 4 accounts bitching about the starting lineup.
Yeah, that's not a problem anymore, though. I don't think because they just waived Killian Hayes.
they took all the ammunition out of his gun.
No, dude. Yeah, like, well, so that was the
And
thing,
and
right?
and,
Is-
Bojan, or Bogan or whatever the fuck his name is.
Bo-
it
Bohan.
was,
Bogdanovic.
Watching Knicks fans realize in real time what Bogan gets up to was very funny.
yeah, that's. There's your 1-to-1 comparison for Larry Brown. That's like Tom Thibodeau, like, it's like plays his guys like 43 minutes a night.
By the
but-
way, because
yeah.
really quick, because the NBA trade deadline is so crazy and the trades themselves are like
This was a bad trade.
5-step trades, it drives me crazy how they're announced.
Yeah,
Like, this guy's getting traded to the Knicks. And other things. You're
Yeah.
going to have to wait for into the next 35 minutes. We're going to roll them out one by one. Oh, the Pistons are getting two
Well, you see-
2 second-round picks. But they're also
We're-
trading future it's just like, why can't someone just put the whole, like, Knicks get this, Pistons get this.
yeah.
You know why?
it's
It's to
so
keep you
weird.
captive. Like, did you not see Shams Charania is starting to unveil whole new game in insiders trying to keep your attention because he had a scoop, Ryan, on something for the NBA All-Star game. And a specific player was going to be a surprise appearance, perhaps in the dunk contest. But he wasn't going to tell you in the tweet. You had to watch his video.
Mhm.
You had to
Love
watch
that.
the video. And then he
Love
even
that.
quote tweeted his own video with more details about this person without saying their name. Have to watch the video.
Well, he couldn't possibly be doing his job worse than Adam Schefter is. So, as far as insiders go,
Man.
I think one of the most like liberating experiences this season was unfollowing Adam Schefter. Like, I don't need Adam Schefter. There's Pelissero, there's Rappaport, there's
Are you logged out
Aaron
of the Pride
Wilson.
of Detroit? Are you logged out of the Pride of Detroit Twitter? Because if not, you're still getting push alerts.
I am getting push alerts for Adam Schefter. Okay. I unfollowed him. That was liberating. It's funny for me to see Adam Schefter things still pop up because I'm always like, God, do you read any of your tweets before you hit send? He clearly doesn't. Like, find me an Adam Schefter tweet that hasn't been edited or one that like doesn't need any editing. Like, holy smokes. But real quick, back to the Killian Hayes thing. The Pistons waiving Killian Hayes. Like, that's a far worse return than like even the Lions got for like Jeff Okuda. Like, drafted 3rd overall, you get a 5th round pick for him. I mean, waiving Killian Hayes, oof, that's tough.
Yeah.
That's given like, and one of my favorite tweets was something along the lines of like, Killian Hayes and his camp wanted to change the scenery, and the Pistons were like, "Here's the bus stop. How's that for a change of scenery?"
Sorry, I have to fix my video real quick.
Yeah.
Both of my backlights, both of my stream lights died apparently last month, so I need to like readjust some.
There were a couple things too from like Weaver's press conference. Someone in chat already mentioned one, which was like him straight up admitting he could have gotten more for Bohan last year,
Oh my god.
which is
Oh my
like,
gosh.
okay, yeah, I mean, I like. Do you give him points for transparency there, or do you
No.
blame him for not doing it last year?
Dude, and the other one too is that
White balance.
they had a trade in place for Killian Hayes at the beginning of the season, but Monty Williams was like, no, let me see what I can do with him.
Let me cook.
Yeah. Hey, let me cook and let me piss off Jaden Ivey.
Yikes.
It's wild. Like I mean, real bad, but brighter days ahead. They won 2 in a row.
And almost, I mean, they
almost made it 3.
They were up on the Clippers late.
Yeah, and
Ish.
they were like the start of the fourth quarter. They
Yeah.
were still in the lead. Yeah,
There you go.
people weren't happy with the
Yay.
tweet that I put out there of Lions, Pistons falling
Yeah.
apart in the second half.
I've made a lot of jokes about that topic, and people tend to not like it very much.
No,
Listen,
but
this is my coping mechanism. I make jokes about the
Yes.
Lions. Like, this is how I get better.
jokes about the Lions are okay. All right, yeah. No, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of people that were really quick to point out, like, didn't the Pistons just beat Sacramento? Didn't the Lions beat the Chargers in LA? I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, you guys all got me. The Pistons suck.
Did you see that one Sacramento Kings fan that came at me?
Oh my god, that guy
No.
was psychotic.
Really?
It was really funny because
They're Sacramento Kings fans?
right. Because like they
49ers fans.
they
same-
clearly
the
read-
shadow.
not only like saw the headline of the story that we wrote, which is like the Sacramento Kings tried to troll the Lions and it immediately backfired. They read the article in which I crapped on the Kings just for fun. Like, it's the off season. I'm like, oh my god, this is like I started doing research on the Kings. I'm like, this franchise is worse than the Lions. Like, and it's
Yeah.
not even a question. And so-
Even I added something to your article, so I was like,
You
oh yeah,
did.
they haven't won a championship since the 50s. Just
You just
like
ask
the
him.
Lions.
I mean, it was very funny for him to like mention that the Lions haven't won anything. And I'm like, my brother in Christ, Vivek Ranadiv is about to trade away all your good players.
Right. It like his whole argument was like, don't throw stones in a glass house. And I'm like, you can't steal my argument. That was my argument.
that was my argument.
Yeah, like that's what I was saying about the Kings. You can't just say, well, you shouldn't throw. Like, no, that's not how that works. The Kings are the one that started this.
The Pistons will win. The Pistons will be of more relevance before the Sacramento Kings ever are. Clip it.
Clip it, chip it. All right, let me get through
Ship it.
Let me get through the rest of these alerts here. Troy Barnes, 39 months, says, was there a game yesterday? There was, and by the end of it, I was glad I watched it. I can understand why Lions fans wouldn't. I mean, I understand, but I don't agree with Lions fans that didn't watch it. Like, I don't know. I just love football too much to skip a Super Bowl.
No, I didn't believe anyone who said they weren't going to watch it. Like almost a third of the country watches the Super Bowl.
I would be fascinated to see the Detroit market, though. Oh, I just said Detroit, and I almost never say Detroit like that.
I just don't believe anyone who says they're not going to watch this. Like that's so.
There were definitely some.
This was the first time the Lions have been in the NFC Championship for over 30 years, and suddenly you're going to act like a fan who's just like, oh, I'm so broken up about it. I'm not going to watch this.
But see, I think they're allowed to do that the first time. Next year, get over it. I think you're allowed. I think you're allowed a couple of weeks. I think you're almost allowed a month of heart. Don't tell people how to grieve.
You had 2 weeks. You had 2 weeks.
Don't tell people how to grieve. Immediately gatekeeps grieving.
I will, because listen, I had to listen to a 49ers fan today talk about how heartbroken he is and him wondering if the
They
49ers
probably
will
are.
be back here. And no, he is, I'm sure. But like at the same time, he's even weighing like if it's even worth getting this far just to lose all the time. And I'm just like,
What stage of grief is that?
bargaining, I think.
Dabda. That's what it is, right? Depression. Acceptance can't be that, or anger.
I'd just love to be there. What can I say?
Bargaining.
Although that said, Kyle Shanahan, my man. Man. Is this where
Dabda?
we talk about the overtime?
Denial,
rules?
anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. Is that it?
Yeah.
I like how you're teaching me initialisms and I'm teaching you knuckles and for 30 and 31 months.
Still, I've already forgotten. January, February. No, I'm not gonna do it again.
Forget about it.
Babalam, 19 months subscribed to the channel, says, I just watched the end of your hypothetical Lions Super Bowl sim, and I feel like that final sequence is the first Madden that's actually been accurate. Oh man. I still need to apologize to everybody who watched that Madden sim. Because okay, there were two things that happened during that Madden sim that caught me off guard that was like, oh, this is a bad idea. The first was you're able to change like the game game style, I guess, of your simulation, and you can change it to Super Bowl.
Oh.
So it'll have all like the
Overlays
confetti and stuff. What I didn't realize it was going to have is accurate commentary. And so, like, the Lions are running out of the tunnel, and they're like, this is their first opportunity to win a Super Bowl since their last championship since 1957. And that made it entirely too real for me. And I'm just like, this hurts. I want to stop this now.
I don't like this. I don't like this.
And then the game ended with Amon-Ra dropping a game-winning touchdown as time expired. Or game tying? It might have been game tying. Either way, that also very much hurt.
So if Amon-Ra is watching, just to let you know, you have even more reason to try to yeah, I don't know.
It was a game winning? Dang.
I do want to say I understand the people who do say that they were out on watching the Super Bowl after the Lions were eliminated. As far as like the casual viewers, right? That like just jumped into like Lions fandom for like this season and like the run that they went on and everything. Like I get it. Like if you're just somebody who like casually tunes into football, like yeah, maybe the Super Bowl might not be your thing after you just went through this for the first time. So like I understand those people.
But isn't the Super Bowl supposed to be the game for casuals too? Like I'm just trying to square that circle.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, Indigo, I'm not calling you a casual. Don't call me rude. You know, I'm always on your side. But no, I mean, like the people I definitely don't believe are the people who are just like, I mean, they love football. They watch it all the time.
Right.
Like even for me personally, I missed the beginning of the game. I missed the first drive. And like I had zero problems doing that because I was going to get hibachi and I was super pumped about that.
Hell yeah.
And B, like, yeah, like I just a general malaise about like the Super Bowl in general. So like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Usually for most Super Bowls, like I'm there at the beginning. Like I want to see all the pomp and circumstance of it, right? All the things that Jeremy just said that he unintentionally did not want to encounter by opening up that Pandora's box in Madden. So
it's funny because I got to watch basically most of the first quarter and then I had to drive, so I put it on Sirius. And I'm like trying to listen, but I'm like by the time I'm home, I'm kind of out of it until the halftime show. So like I kept going back and forth. I watched the pregame stuff long enough to realize that Nickelodeon had neither the America the Beautiful or the national anthem or any of that stuff leading up to it. Instead, they were showing the end of Sing 2. So very based of Nick. But at the same time, like I'm realizing sitting here now, I remember nothing of the commercials this year. None of them.
I realized during the broadcast that I've just like conditioned myself to zone out during commercials or like pull out my phone. So I also don't remember like
a single one.
There was Christopher Walken impressions. That's the only one I remember. And I'm just like,
I heard about the Dunkin' Donuts one. That's the only one I kind of half remember. And I remember seeing Jason Momoa singing with the two guys from Scrubs for T-Mobile. And I'm like, please, God, take this off my TV.
Ice Spice was in a Starry campaign. Do you guys know what Starry is?
That's Sierra Mist?
No, it's the new name for Sierra Mist. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I miss it as Sierra Mist. I actually tried Starry and it just doesn't taste as well as Sierra Mist. And I don't know why.
I'm the 1/3 of the podcast that knows who Ice Spice is.
I know who Ice Spice is, but you can't tell me why she's like what she's famous for. Like I've definitely not heard a song from her.
I do love Ice Spice.
She's not the 6th Spice Girl.
All right, please go back to the alerts.
We still haven't gotten to like Shanahan.
The other thing I wanted to say, going all the way back to Lions fans boycotting the Super Bowl or skipping the Super Bowl, is I think there is a certain subset of fans that are not football fans. They are simply Detroit Lions fans. Like they
You're
don't.
a sports fan, like
But like their allegiance is to Lions and nothing else.
No,
and
I don't doubt that. But like, if you are a fan of sports, you're watching the Super Bowl. Like any sports, you're watching the Super Bowl. The idea that you're not watching the Super Bowl is just, I'm sorry, it's fucking alien to me. If you like any North American sports and that those American sports happen to include a football team at any point, you're watching the fucking Super Bowl.
North American?
Not, we can't, what?
Canadians?
They show it up there on TSN.
I mean, I'm sure they do.
Not
it's no Grey Cup.
Okay.
All right,
Speaking
Duck Lion. Thank you for the 17
Was this
months.
our first Super Bowl with a streaker?
No. Doesn't it happen every year?
I did love how Jim Nance, was it Jim Nance who told Tony Romo to not talk about it, or like they somebody shut it down like in real time, and like that part came out.
Virgin Jim Nance shutting it down versus Chad Kevin Harlan doing play-by-play again.
Yeah.
This might, I don't think I've ever seen one happen during a play. Like that was almost like a huge plot point.
I saw the replay of it. The guy went to the ground thinking that like that roughing the passer rules were going to apply and they wouldn't, just tackle and hit him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Sorry,
continue.
No, that's okay. We're almost we're not that close to caught up. Duck Lion. We're still reading alerts from 36 minutes ago. Duck Lion, they give it the 17 months, says Ryan's article explained it perfectly, but I still get visibly angry when I think about how Dan didn't win Coach of the Year. The fact that I could have won $500 has nothing to do with it. We'll get into
Understood.
that. We'll get into that. The Zoe, thank you for the 11 months subscribe to the channel. Luxtable, 16 months subscribe to the channel, says how many days until training camp starts? Too many. IMO. When it start? Late July? Do the math. I can't do the math. Lord Goofa.
Jeremy's out here giving homework.
Exactly. Lord Goofa, 23 months subscribe to the channel, says the Super Bowl is a joke. The Lions wouldn't have been such human orifices. Interesting way to put it. Snack God, 13 months subscribe to the channel, says finally mock draft season? Nope. Free agency isn't over yet. Joshua Mercer gifting a sub to Match You Rolex. Thank you, Joshua, gifting a sub. Nick the Greek, 100 bits, says, because he did do a list cast. The real list cast adjacent thing I wanted was if the Lions' top 5 wide receivers were fast food franchises, which fast food franchises would they be? Ooh.
Say it one more time.
If the Lions' top 5 wide receivers were fast food franchises, which fast food franchises would they be? So, Amon-Ra, Josh Reynolds, J-Mo, Khalif,
Antoine Green. Donovan Peoples-Jones. Does Sam Laporta count as a pass catcher or no?
He did say 5 wide receivers.
Okay, then let's be true to it.
This isn't the point of Listcast. Listcast is to rank something.
That's okay. I'll accept it in this case.
But I think you're kind of ranking the receivers, are you not, by prescribing them a specific kind of fast food?
Depending on.
Unfortunately, I think we're also ranking fast food by doing that too. On the flip side. But like, it's not that I hate anything from it. Like, if I gave, like, say, White Castle to Antoine Green, I'm also not hating on White Castle. It's just, it's there.
That's kind of Antoine Green. Like he's there.
Some people really like White Castle. I don't understand those people. I think that makes it better for Donovan Peoples-Jones. But, you know, again, I don't want to hate on Antoine Green. What are we doing?
I mean, listen, Jameson Williams has to be McDonald's. Like, it's not a statement on him or McDonald's. He literally has a McDonald's product that is called now the McJamo.
That is not actually a McDonald's product.
No.
McDonald's does not sell it. You cannot go up there and order a McJamo.
In Detroit, you might be able to.
You might be able to.
They might understand. And listen, it makes sense. Like it can very much serve as a food that's going to make you feel good, but also like it's a little bit unreliable. The ice cream machine might not work.
Okay.
Okay.
Are we doing this as a collective list cast, or are we each
Yes,
gonna give our own?
we are.
We
are.
do this very long.
Somebody want. I think it was Nick the Greek was screaming at us to just make someone Arby's.
Make who Arby's?
Someone.
I don't have a good answer because my read on Arby's is that
I like Arby's.
It's expensive and not worth it. It's fine, but it has no business being that expensive.
But it does have Ving Rhames
DJ
doing
Chark?
commercials.
Can I go back to DJ Chark?
No.
No, DJ Shark had a good second half of the season last year.
That's what I'm
Leave
saying.
DJ Shark alone.
He got way too much money this year from Carolina.
I don't know. Like, I'm having a hard time placing Khalif Raymond though, because I feel like every time Khalif Raymond touches the ball, it's like, oh, this is exciting. Why don't we do this more often? So it feels like
Carl's Jr.
No, I would say Culver's.
That's what I was thinking. Culver's too, just because I don't go to Culver's enough. Do they have a Culver's near you, Chris?
I've had one on the drive out here, but no, I haven't had there's no Culver's in LA County. I will say Amon-Ra St. Brown. I'm just gonna call him. Can I call him Wendy's?
I don't know.
Solid, dependable.
Yeah.
Doesn't really drop anything.
Yeah, what is the most consistent fast food place? That's key to me. I would say Taco Bell to me is like one of the most inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very glad to have a good Taco Bell near me. That's for sure.
I feel like McDonald's. We already used it, but McDonald's I feel like is pretty consistent.
Yeah, but we can't use it again.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, we could do it. I don't hate In-N-Out as a comparison. In-N-Out, I like In-N-Out as a comparison too, because like some people think it's the best fast food place, period, and some people think it's overrated. And Amon-Ra, a lot of people in Detroit think he's arguably a top 5 receiver. I'm not.
I like
there.
that. So Amon-Ra, and it is Southern California for Amon-Ra St. Brown. So yeah, we'll call him In-N-Out. Yeah,
and then some people like Arif Hassan don't think he's a top 10 receiver.
Well, Arif's wrong about a lot of things, and
Panda Express is definitely fast food, if that's what the question is. Old driver.
In fact, I would probably call that Josh Reynolds. When Panda Express hits really well, it hits really, really like you don't think about Josh Reynolds much. You don't like it is the best pairing. I was trying to make this to a Jared Goff thing and I completely lost my track, but I am going to stick by Panda Express as Josh Reynolds. There are some times that where like Josh Reynolds plays a game that reminds you like, damn, he's pretty good at this. Panda Express, not every day, but man, sometimes you get the right plate from Panda Express and you're like, yeah, okay. I can dig this.
Panda Express is definitely something I'm not ever disclosing that I ate at to people.
Oh,
Like if someone,
you're that ashamed about Panda
yeah.
Express?
yeah. And also,
Here,
let
you
me
know what?
also say that
JP is me.
orange
has the
chicken
better-
is the most overrated Chinese dish.
Oh
in the
no,
world.
no. They got that. So I'm getting hate for Panda Express. A, why are you booing me? I'm right. B, I think JP is me might have the more agreeable take for more normal people besides me, and that he's KFC.
Ooh.
You forget that he's good sometimes, but then he pops off. Same logic for me as Panda Express.
I have a KFC by me that's not very good. And I think the 1 or 2 times I've had it, I've not felt very good afterwards. So can we go like Popeyes instead?
I'm not a big on Popeyes, but sure, let's go with that.
I legit think the last time I went to Popeyes was when their chicken sandwiches just came out.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's been that long. And I'm so mad that Nick the Greek just brought that up. But see, you get these guys talking about fast food. That's the off-season staple.
Right?
Yep.
By the way, Damian Smith gave us 2 pounds over on YouTube, says the offensive line is 5 guys, and it's on the nose, but it's also perfect.
Oh, what about Josh Reynolds being Jimmy John's?
Okay. Yeah.
Is that one we can agree on that sometimes it just hits very good?
I don't have any shame in admitting that I enjoy Jimmy John's, and it's also remarkably consistent, I would say.
I would say so too.
To
Yeah.
the point where if Jimmy John's hypothetically, and of course this is just, I'm using this language just as a parable. If they drop the ball, like that would be a very big surprise.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And you would forgive them because you'd go back to Jimmy John's.
Right.
Because normally, very consistent.
That's right.
I would say it's too bad we can't put Jahmyr Gibbs as Jimmy John's because freaky fast.
I mean, you have J-Mo, right?
Yeah, but we've already decided J-Mo has to be McDonald's.
true. I think we're done with this, did we?
Yeah, we've hit this way too much.
All right.
Please.
John.
Caught up?
No, we're
Oh
not.
my God.
John Johnson, thank you for the 7 months.
go
Subscribe to the
fast.
channel. Says, I'm looking forward to Holmes doing his thing for the next few months between free agency, the draft, and some key extensions. This is his most important offseason to date. Maybe. I also think the one where he has 2 very high first-round picks happened to be pretty important, too. It's important in a different way. Like, this is him transitioning to the new generation of Brad Holmes where he has to do different things that are as important, but not as much draft capital. The Trevor Van, thank you for the 28 months, says Lions Super Bowl winners by rule of we are better. Thought you were going to go transitive property on me, but you twisted it there at the end. Nick the Greek, 100 bits, says, can you guys please line up Eric so he can start doing off-season Imagineering? You guys are already in mid-June form. The midweek mailbag is returning on Wednesday, all right? 100 more bits from Nick the Greek.
Something else might be coming back too.
True. Wink. You guys are throwing off week 4 of 2021 training camp vibes right now. Is Tim Boyle better than Jared Goff vibes? Those are the worst vibes. No, it's not Tim Boyle. We got to start hyping up David Blau again. That'll get the people going.
You're darn right.
Daniel Finnerty, thank you for becoming a member over on YouTube. One of our rarefied members over on YouTube. Appreciate it, buddy. Okay, we're caught up. What do we want to do now? Do I want to do a, you know what? Well, let's wait until after the next segment to do a spin.
Can we?
That works for me.
I really want to talk about the overtime. I really want to talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, I did too 15 minutes ago.
I know. That's why I'm annoyed with the fast food thing.
I don't. Let's put it up to chat. Chat, do you want us to go into the second and to be clear, final
I'm going there anyway.
segment of the podcast, or do you want us to wait until after that?
First 5 votes count.
First. We got one wait.
Almost counts as 2 though, because it's from Indigo.
I was gonna say the opposite.
I'm not ready to do seg 2. Like,
We've been on break for 50 minutes.
I know, but I've been wanting to do this for a fucking hour.
Chris,
You've led us astray as many times as chat has. Let's be clear
I know,
here.
but holy shit, I have been waiting for you to get done with the alerts so I can just do this. It is actually a football topic.
I appreciate all the alerts, and I appreciate all the support, everybody. Let's make that clear.
Speaking of which, Dark Ample, thank you for the 8 months. Says controversial opinion: Brad Holmes is bad at free agency. Whoa.
Everybody go check out their Charles Harris takes.
Chris is gonna lose his mind.
Can we just go through them, please?
I'm
the
done.
problem is, okay.
Say what you know. What say what you want to say. Fuck
No,
chat.
because
Say
now,
what you want
now
to
you
say.
guys won't. Now you guys won't play
No.
along with it. I'll be doing a rant for about 10 minutes, and then nobody will respond to it. Nobody
How is
will
that
add
different than
anything to
anything
it.
else that we do in the
Because I
breaks?
want to at least have a conversation about
Go.
something.
Then go. Stop complaining about it and just go. We're dragging it out more at this point.
There's never been those rules in an overtime in a Super Bowl. And I think, I don't want to completely kill Kyle Shanahan. I think it's easy because we're doing the Monday morning quarterbacking, just like we did in the fourth down decisions on taking the ball first being bad. His logic isn't completely unsound in that you at least can and I joked about it earlier, but I do think if it had been Dan Campbell, wouldn't Dan Campbell, being the aggressive guy that he is, want the ball first, set the tone in overtime, and go from there? It's something I'm trying still to figure out, because it feels like the right idea is you take the ball second. But Shanahan was saying that the idea was that he wanted it in the actual sudden death period.
Right.
Which, granted, it's not actually that's not actually the sudden death period unless you score 6 points. Or I guess unless you score 7, or they don't match you.
Right.
Is what I'm saying. I mean, they have to match you.
Right.
But the idea is that they scored a touchdown, then yeah, the next possession would have been the actual sudden death. I'm not sure how to work it, and I don't even know. I saw some people trying to say from an analytical standpoint, but this had never been done before. What analytics? We have no history to do the analytics on it.
Yeah. Listen, I think, like I was saying last week or 2 weeks ago, when we are dissecting these coaching decisions, we are talking about fractions of percentages and win percentage added, DP added, whatever. These are tough decisions. These are not black and white decisions that are being made. Going back to some of the fourth down decisions that Dan Campbell made, they're not as black and white as the discussion seems to be on both sides for them. That being said, I would still rather have the ball second. And to be clear, the only way in that specific game that Kyle Shanahan was going to get a third possession is if both teams punted, basically, because the Chiefs said, if they were going second and the 49ers went down and scored a touchdown, the Chiefs were going to go down, and if they scored a touchdown, they were going for 2. There would not be the advantage of that third possession.
That kind of, I mean, that seems like the play, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
End it right there and then.
And so, to me,
very Dan Campbell, very in vogue.
We're
going to go down and score and go for 2.
I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know what Dan Campbell would have done. Whether what you laid out, Chris, makes absolute sense, but also what the Chiefs were going to do makes a lot of sense. Let me just sit back and see what I need to do, so I can go for it on fourth down as many times as I want if I need to, so that I can just make it so there is not going to be this sudden death. Even if I need a field goal to tie it up, I'm not going to kick a field goal here. I'm going to go for the touchdown and the win.
Yeah, to be clear, I would have said to take the ball second as well, but there's been some takes that this was an egregious decision by Shanahan. I don't think it was the worst decision he made in the game by a long stretch. I'm more.
I mean, there's a lot of them. There's a lot of bad decisions that Kyle Shanahan made. I agree that it's not at the top of the list. I agree.
Yeah. I think throwing it when they needed to burn off as much clock from Patrick Mahomes was far worse than anything close to deciding to take the ball first. Like I don't think it's the right decision, but I didn't like 100% completely vehemently hate it, I guess is my point.
I think that there's an aspect of me, and I don't know if more people are talking about this or not, but 3rd and 4 from Kansas City's 9-yard line, and it's a pass play. I don't know why you're not treating that like it's 4-down territory. Because if you're Kyle Shanahan and I agree, all the things he laid out, great. You're playing for the actual sudden death possession. You need to score a touchdown to safeguard yourself against Patrick Mahomes. Now, I mean, you obviously don't know that their mindset is going to be, hey, we're going to go try to score a touchdown and we're going to go for 2, right? I mean, you don't know that that's their line of thinking. But I don't understand. It's not, it wouldn't have been 4th and 9. You know what I mean? It's not 4th and goal. You know what I mean? Like, you have an opportunity to get another first down and you have an opportunity to put 7 on the board. And I don't understand the logic of treating that like it's you're passing in that situation.
And it's inconsistent
even on
too, right? Because they did go for it when they were down 3 in regulation.
Yeah.
When they could have kicked a 30, 40-yard field goal. They went for it. And they were having the exact mindset that you're having right now, which is like, don't let the Kansas City Chiefs get back into this game with an easy score.
Right. Like I don't know. It seems weird. It seems very much, Chris, it seems like, to put it into basketball terms, it's like, we're not going to let this one guy kill us tonight. You know what I mean? Like, we're going to make sure that he doesn't get his. If everybody else beats us, fine. But like, I don't understand the line of thinking of, I don't know, like, we'll kick a field goal and we'll see what Patrick Mahomes can do. We'll see what he's made of.
Yeah, and like you
I know what he's made of.
The other thing too is like, I know Shanahan I think also said that like the reason they took the ball first in overtime too is like their offense is gassed. Well, if they're gassed, maybe go for it on 4th down. Try to keep like much like the Lions, your superpower is long ass offensive drives and just grinding guys down. And again, it's just like not running the football. You just kind of got away from your identity. Again.
There's also the tangible benefit too of going for it on 4th down, and the Chiefs are left starting their next drive at the 9-yard line. You know what I mean? You don't get it. The Chiefs are backed up. Maybe you can just, get one stop. You know what I mean? And the ball is yours, and you truly do have if you don't get that conversion on 4th down and the Chiefs go 3 and out, you're almost in field goal.
Yeah,
you're almost in field goal range, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
it's a big ask, but
I think a lot of people made a big deal out of like the clock on overtime, which I'm just going to assume they just weren't able to take it off the score bug.
But it technically wouldn't, from one overtime to the next overtime, you would change spots on the field.
Yeah. Flip sides. So,
it's like quarters.
Yeah.
But that would be the only thing. Like, people made a big deal about the clock near the end. It's like the clock doesn't really matter.
Yeah. No one knew the rules. It was all new, and I get that. And that's why Tony Romo was screaming into the mic during the most pivotal point in the game.
Yeah, that was
by
awesome
the way, it doesn't matter if the second quarter.
I love his bit where he's like, I know there's a lot of people who don't watch a lot of football and they might be wondering why. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, I might win $350 right now. Shut up.
How'd that go, by the way?
Mahomes, Super Bowl MVP. It was a good time.
Someone during the Madden sim was like, what do you think of like a Travis Kelce or, Valdez Scantling MVP? And I'm like, I don't know, man. A Chiefs receiver just doesn't make sense to me.
It was very funny watching the MVP flip-flop for that game too. Like, I remember when the voting opened and people were saying like, I can't vote for Juwan Johnson.
Jennings.
Oh, Jennings, excuse me.
Yeah.
Juwan Jennings, because he's not even on the list.
People wanted to vote for that Chris Conley. The guy who was making all the special teams plays.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, I know Hamza was naming off about 3 different special teams players to be MVP.
I know fans get to there's a pull for fans. I don't. It's not decided by fans though, is it?
No, is it maybe one of the? I don't know how this shit works.
That feels strange because you can gamble on it.
Right. So what is the point of the fan vote? And do we ever see the results of it? I certainly did. I mean, we didn't even. I don't think they even televised the announcement of the MVP.
No, there was like a memo that got
or the
posted by the NFL, right?
Right.
or the MVP for that matter.
That's right. But like,
who won that?
I did.
Mahomes?
Was there one? I
don't
forgot
know.
that there was a Nickelodeon broadcast. I don't know if there was one or not. But like, I also love that Jim Nantz is like, and Patrick Mahomes assuredly gets his third MVP, and that's his. Like, he started counting it. And I'm just like,
It was Patrick Mahomes for the MVP.
There
So
you
it's
go.
an MVP and an MVP sweep, the first time in Super Bowl history.
Keep stacking.
but like
He joins Mitchell Trubisky, Jeremy.
Nantz,
But Mitchell Trubisky didn't have a Super
Nantz
Bowl
announced it like it was true, and I don't think it was true at the time. Like, I think that was just him pure speculating, and I'm just like, it feels weird to do because like this entire game we've been having a conversation about MVP because it's miraculous how there hadn't been one standout, and so I tweeted out like, do we just default to Patrick Mahomes? And at the time it was because I was so caught up in the MVP conversation during the entire game. In retrospect, still probably an obvious choice just for what he did in the fourth quarter and overtime. But it was just, to me, it was weird that he was like so presumptuous because to me it never felt like, oh, that's his award for sure. Like, I think you could make an argument for, I think you could make an argument for Chris Jones, but defensive tackle is almost never going to win.
No.
Yeah. So this reminds me of the Rams Bengals Super Bowl, and I'm trying to remember exactly like his stat line, but I felt like there was an outside shot that Aaron Donald could have been Super Bowl MVP, especially because of the play he made at the end of the game.
Right, to win the game.
But I thought I remember I thought I remember hearing that
so everyone had submitted their votes already.
Right, they'd already voted.
Yeah,
so, like,
I think you're right.
But my thing is that game went to overtime last night.
Right.
Did they submit it in the fourth quarter?
Did
Did they pick Mahomes regardless? Like,
That's-
even if the 49ers would have won, would Pat Mahomes have won the Super Bowl MVP?
That's a really interesting question.
What if Kelsey had scored that touchdown rather than just getting knocked out around like the 9?
Well, I haven't looked at a box score after this game, so I don't know what he finished with.
I just had it up. Hold on.
20% of the MVP comes from
I was
fan
rooting for
vote?
the script. What can I say? I was rooting for the script.
Wow, what did you just find out, Jeremy? 20%
Yeah, Detroit.
of the fan vote?
Yeah, Detroit says
What?
20% of the MVP vote comes from fans. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what Detroit. I have no
let's see
reason not to
here.
believe Detroit.
Kelsey was 10 targets, 9 receptions, 93 yards.
Yeah, I mean,
Leading receiver for the Chiefs.
Had his touchdown, had he turned that
He would have
play
broken
at the
100
end of
yards.
regulation, had he turned that play at the end of regulation to score a touchdown and to win the game for the Chiefs, I don't know.
maybe. But I think if the quarterback, I mean, it would have had to take like a huge individual effort to get in for him to get it over Mahomes, I think.
Someone was saying like Taylor Swift while he was doing the WWE "You've Got to Fight for Your Right to Party" speech.
That's
Taylor
a
Swift
WWE thing, or you just mean
No,
the way he was screaming
I'm just
it?
saying he's cutting a fucking
Yeah.
promo there
Right.
at that point, where he's like quoting Beastie Boys, but like they kept cutting to Taylor Swift, and someone was saying that like Taylor Swift looked like she was embarrassed in that moment.
Yeah, I tweeted that too.
Oh, did you?
I
Oh.
did.
I don't think she was actually embarrassed. This is what that whole family is just golden retrievers all the way down. Like she must know at this point this is what the Kelseys are
That's
about.
true. Listen, like, I liked him going crazy on Viva Las Vegas, even though the man can't sing. But like, he was teed up the fight for your right to party.
Jim Nantz served
Yeah.
that up to
It
And I'm-
him.
served it
and
like
I'm
a
just like-
meatball.
I'm like, what are we doing? Like, don't make him do his greatest hits
Don't
right now.
encourage him, Jim.
No, it felt very much like Jim Nantz was like, "Dance, monkey, dance."
Yeah, no, I did not like that.
Yeah, so I'm looking at something too that says that the votes are cast immediately after the full-time whistle, and that the winner must come from the victorious team, which seems insane. Like, what if somebody has an incredible game and they just end up on the losing side? Like,
do you pull him out of a sullen locker room and be like, by the way, here's your trophy?
I mean, we didn't we do that in an NBA Finals MVP before, Ryan?
yeah, Jerry West won.
Didn't LeBron win one in a losing effort?
Maybe. I think so. That might be right.
Was that one of the Warriors years? I think I don't.
Yeah,
remember.
it might have been the year where it was just him and Matthew Dellavedova.
God.
But to Jeremy's point, what's cracking me up right now is what if the MVP was the losing team, but it was a Nickelodeon MVP. They like pull him out. And they're like they slime him.
Just like while Hello Darkness, My Old Friend is playing.
Nate Burleson's coming at you with a strong energy, and you're just like, I gotta die. I want to die. I'm in Vegas, and I want to die.
Oh man.
I'm gonna be honest.
Mitchell Trubisky is presenting you the MVP after you lose the Super Bowl.
I kind of don't want to see the Super Bowl. It's going to go back to Vegas, but I am not about the Super Bowl continuing to be in Vegas a lot.
Yeah.
Just grim vibes the entire week from that place.
It could have used like one more appearance from the Blue Men Group.
All right, now we can do segment 2.
All right.
Thank you for indulging me. I'm sorry. I'm gonna put my phone.
Okay, we're caught up in everything too. All right.
I need my phone for the timer, though.
Beep, beep, beep,
So
beep, beep.
real quick, I do see that people are saying that there was a MVP that came from a losing team.
Mm-hmm.
Linebacker Chuck Howley
Super
won
Bowl 5.
despite the Cowboys losing to the Colts on a last-second field goal. But like now, the rules are now like I see them laid out, and it says like voters cast ballots immediately after the game ends. They are instructed to choose one player from the winning team, and they cannot vote for multiple players or an entire unit like a team's defense. So,
Why not?
yeah, like if the
Lions
Lions would have been in the
offensive
Super Bowl one, yeah, 100%, right?
Just do the Jared Goff with the 8 watches on his arm. You all get MVP awards. You all does the MVP like I swear didn't it used to come with like a car? Or am I thinking of like the All-Star MVP or something of something?
Didn't it come with the trip to Disney World or whatever?
Maybe. I don't know.
All right, let me just pull up another timer then. I'll have to just find it later. I've got Lookout on the thing, so.
Okay.
It's almost 9:30. We've done one segment.
I know. That's why I'm trying to let me get a timer going. Okay. Let's go. Pride of Detroit POD cast. We are absolutely in off-season mode right now. But one of the things that came from this week, besides the Super Bowl, was the NFL honors. Now, there were several NFL honors I did not expect myself to get so invested in, like arguing about the comeback player of the year. That is neither here nor there, and my thoughts about Baker Mayfield are irrelevant. What is relevant, sorry, I got a nod from Ryan, so I don't know, I've laid them out on Twitter before, Ryan, on.
Yeah, the comeback player of the year stuff is interesting. I think that Baker Mayfield definitely deserved more attention and recognition for what he did rather than Flacco over what, 5 games?
5 games, 2 less interceptions than Baker Mayfield had all year. I'm just saying. If you weren't going to go Damar Hamlin, the right answer was there. Anyway. However, Lions were up for a couple awards, and there were some Lions fans who thought snubs happened. Let's start first with Coach of the Year. Very interesting voting, Ryan, because technically Kevin Stefanski and D'Amico Ryans actually were tied in votes, and Stefanski got the tiebreaker because he had more first place votes. Now, I thought that was a mistake because I thought I would have gone D'Amico Ryans, but I understand that's kind of how the voting just kind of just went against him in that regard. But Dan Campbell was at best a distant third in the voting. And I think Lions fans said he should have been coach of the year. I actually disagree on that, but I want to hear your thoughts on that. Should he have been MVP? Were you surprised? I mean, not MVP. Should he have been coach of the year? Were you surprised he was such a distant third? Anything else?
Yeah, so let's go to the official wording of the award. And it goes to, quote, the coach judged to have had the most outstanding season. And obviously outstanding is so subjective that you just get lost in debates and wondering who is truly the most outstanding in their field. Historically, though, I think from looking at past winners and even just remembering recently, it's so narrative driven, and it's so important that your team exceeded expectations. If your team did not exceed expectations in the regular season, then it's kind of tough for you to win the award unless you're just like a juggernaut, right? Like unless you're the 2007 Patriots and you have a, perfect season. You're not going to win the award unless you exceed expectations. And the Detroit Lions in the regular season, I don't think that they exceeded expectations. They did what was set out for them to do. They were the favorites to win their division. They won the division. Had they maybe ended up the number 1 seed, maybe Dan Campbell wins the award. That got taken away in Dallas. So I think that personally, DeMeco Ryans definitely deserved the award because I think that he had his team outperform expectations. He was a first-year head coach. He had a rookie quarterback. The team won 3 games last year. Their preseason total for over/under on wins was 6.5. They won 10 games. They won the AFC South. I mean, all this voting too, Jeremy, right? It all happens before the postseason. If you take the postseason into account, maybe Dan Campbell wins the award, right? But there's just like things that I think were totally out of his control. As soon as the Lions won Week 18 in Green Bay in 2022, I think that maybe that kind of sealed Dan Campbell's fate in terms of this award.
Yeah, and he finished, I think, 7th last year, which is interesting in and of itself.
And Brian Dable wins.
Yeah.
What are we doing?
and like I think there's some logic to you have to overperform expectations because coaching is hard to measure. It's hard to say what influence does this head coach have on the team's improvement, this team's overall play. And if you look at a team's roster and say this is a 4th place roster, this is a 4-win team based on the roster, and then they go out and win 10 games, your explanation for that is coaching. These players outperformed expectations. You of course never look inward and be like, maybe I just had too low of expectations for these players. It's no, coaching elevated them. And it makes sense, right? And so you're right. I didn't expect Dan Campbell to win for all of the reasons you just said. But I think there is room for this like coaching narrative for coaches who lead a team to breaking franchise records, to, if the Lions win the division for the first time in 30 years, that needs to score some points because this coach has changed a culture of losing into now a culture of winning. It goes a little bit beyond just, okay, we expected this to happen, and it happened. Great. Well, it happened because, at least in part, it wasn't just Brad Holmes getting the draft picks right. It was Dan Campbell getting the culture right. And Dan Campbell setting the tone with Brad Holmes and saying, this is the kind of players that I need you to get us. All of that works together. And so does Dan Campbell deserve to win Coach of the Year? Maybe, maybe not. I didn't expect him to. I was also in the DeMeco Ryans camp. I don't understand the Kevin Stefanski stuff, and I'll get to that in a second. Dan Campbell deserved to be on every single ballot. Every single of those 50 ballots, in my opinion. The fact that he was only on 15 is, to me, I don't want to use the word travesty because that's where we're over-exaggerating at this point, but 15 out of 50 ballots is ridiculous.
I'm not going to hate completely on Stefanski because I see the logic to it in that this man went through, God, Ryan, how many quarterbacks was it?
Five quarterbacks,
and you still pulled out 11 wins. I think that's the one thing I would say between Dan Campbell and Stefanski. I too thought probably there should have been more votes to Dan Campbell, but I think a big part of if you're a coach of a winning team and you want to get coach of the year, you have to overcome some sort of adversity middle of the season. What Stefanski had to work with was huge, absolutely huge to overcome that, to make those decisions, to try to find the right quarterback and to keep pulling guys until you pull Joe Flacco out of a hat. On the other hand, Dan Campbell had adversity too with that. The secondary was bad, but unlike Stefanski, I don't think he ever found really an answer to it. Regardless of the fact that your answer for Kevin Stefanski then threw back-to-back pick sixes in the wild card round. But I just there's nothing that I agree with you that like the time for Dan Campbell to have won Coach of the Year last year was last year. I don't know what he could have like really pulled out of the hat. I think there is some value to the matter of breaking those records, like Jeremy said, but I think you primed the pump a little bit too much from last year.
The only thing I want to say on Stefanski really quick is I understand when you lose a quarterback, when you lose Nick Chubb, when you lose some offensive linemen.
Not just a quarterback, though.
Yeah, but my overall point is like this is sports media's fascination with like, oh my God, defense can win games still. That's crazy because listen, if Stefanski had turned all of those injuries on offense into a worthwhile offense, then he would have deserved Coach of the Year. He didn't. The offense sucked. The passing game sucked. You know, you look at DVOA, they're like 29th in pass offense DVOA. They didn't weather the storm offensively at all. The injuries crumpled them. The defense carried them. Stefanski is not a defensive coach. That's why I don't have a problem, and we don't need to necessarily turn the page right now, but I don't have a problem with Jim Schwartz winning Defensive Coach of the Year, or, you know, Assistant Coach of the Year, because that defense was crazy. But let's not act like Stefanski carried this team in any sort of way. He didn't.
The stat, but here's the thing: is like those stats, those things you bring up are fine, but you won like a crazy number of wins down the road, down the stretch,
because your defense. Wow.
Yeah,
defense. But that's still a defense you're coaching. Like,
so anyway,
he's not coaching it.
And like you're also in the same division as the Ravens, who are just housing everyone, and still you made the playoffs.
Yeah. So in 2021, Vrabel won the award because his team was just absolutely decimated by injuries. They ended up they willed their way to the number 1 seed in the AFC by some miracle, and then got dummied by the Bengals immediately. But like by their measure, by the end of the regular season that year, the Titans had broken an NFL record with 91 players seeing the field. Jesus. Which, I mean, again, that's part of the narrative, right? And I think maybe that's part of the strings that get tugged on with the media when it comes to voting for Coach of the Year.
You mentioned it a little bit, Jeremy. You want to move on to Ben Johnson was third behind both Jim Schwartz and McDonald.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit of the same thing, right? Like it's a little bit of Ben Johnson fatigue at this point.
This voting was a very heavy Cleveland Browns across the board, though.
Which is
between Joe Flacco,
right,
Schwartz, Stefanski, Myles Garrett. Like Browns were cleaning up for whatever reason.
And like I think Jim Schwartz deserved it. I think Myles Garrett probably deserved it. I don't quite understand everything else. But yeah, no, Jim Schwartz deserved it. Ben Johnson gets 21 votes, 6 first place votes. I don't have too much of a problem with this one. Obviously, Mike McDonald was doing great stuff over there in the Ravens, good enough to land a head coach job with the Seahawks, I believe. So
yes,
I don't know. I think it's a little bit of Ben Johnson fatigue. He placed second in the voting last year, and I don't know. I mean, I think he's one of the best offensive coordinators in the league, and unfortunately he's probably in the same boat as Dan Campbell now, where like they just missed that boat. They weren't good enough in 2022, and they weren't new enough in 2023.
Can I tell you the one other snub I felt from this game? I mean, from the awards. It's not who you're thinking of. I'm not talking about Laporta being third on Offensive Rookie of the Year. I'm not talking about Gibbs being fourth. Buddy Parker not getting into the Hall of Fame. The guy invented the 2-minute offense. Unbelievable amount of championships between the Lions and the Steelers, and that's still not enough to put him in the Hall of Fame. Okay. What else does an old ass coach? What else does an old ass coach from the 50s got to do besides like having like he had a dynasty, Ryan, a dynasty. He invented a 2-minute offense and coaching like Bobby Lane and Doak Walker. You're not putting him in the Hall of Fame.
It's a bummer.
Yeah. Anything else for you, Ryan?
I did, as far as like not outright snubs, but I did think that I think Brian Branch deserved more consideration because like I was looking at some Brian Branch stats while we were writing our Pride of Detroit site awards that we are releasing currently. But I think like looking at Brian Branch and where he ranked amongst cornerbacks this season, like I mean really good. Like I mean he did some incredible work, and think about the Lions secondary, just a house of cards, right? That I mean there's injuries left and right, and he's the one reliable guy who like steadied the ship as far as like both in coverage and as a run defender. Like yeah, Will Anderson probably deserved it. I feel like Jalen Carter started hot and you didn't hear like a ton from him. But I don't know, like Kobe Turner, yeah, had a really cool season with like the pressures and stuff, and that'll get you a lot of recognition. Devin Witherspoon, obviously had a really good season until he got hurt. But like Joey Porter Jr. tied with him. Like, I don't know. I thought Brian Branch had a really, really good season and deserved to be higher than where he placed.
Yeah. The voting system is also a little bit flawed when you get this far down, I think, on the list, because Brian Branch had 6 votes, Joey Porter had 2 votes, Yaya Diaby had 2 votes as well. But Joey Porter and Yaya Diaby, who I'm going to be quite honest, I don't know who that is, he had a first place vote, and so did Joey Porter, which seems like maybe that's a local beat guy giving his guy some love, because that seems a little bit ridiculous. Brian Branch, 6 third place votes. And so, like, if one of those is a second place vote, he's in 5th by itself, which is probably where he belongs. I don't know if I would jump him over any of those other guys, but, you know, Branch was going through some injuries of his own. He's playing a little bit more of a rotational role than some of these other guys, and so kind of playing behind the 8 ball there, off to a hot start. You know, not as many flashy plays down the stretch, but shout out to the guy who voted Jack Campbell was the second best defensive rookie of the year. I don't know who you are, but I want to meet you because I want to see what you saw.
I also want to find out who decided Antonio Gates isn't a Hall of Famer. I want to talk to them.
I hate the Hall of Fame. I hate it.
The Hall of Fame is getting frustrated, like really frustrating, and the next couple of years are going to be even more crowded. That it's just like, what are we doing?
Get rid of it.
What are we doing here?
Defund the Hall of Fame.
The committee, the committee needs some changes. But let's talk.
I want to say though, I want to be on record for like being very pro, always watching the videos of people finding out that they're going to we Hall of Fame. That's the best part of the Hall of Fame.
Those are great.
Only good part.
Yeah. Let's talk about some coaching updates. So we got one coach, new passing game coordinator, but this is for a defensive passing game coordinator with the Lions didn't have last year, Jeremy. It was previously held by Aubrey Pleasant, and that is Deshae Townsend.
Yeah.
Coming in as that plus a new cornerbacks coach.
Yeah. Kind of chaotic the way that one was reported originally initially just reported as a pass game coordinator, which obviously that was Tanner Engstrom's job on the offensive side of the ball. And so you're like, is Tanner gone? What's happening here? The Lions have never had a pass game coordinator on offense and defense at the same time under Dan Campbell. It was initially under the defense, then it got moved to the offense. And, you know, the idea is that like a pass game coordinator occasionally works on both sides of the ball. They work on the passing plan on offense and on defense. And so this appears, because as we're going to talk about in a second, it doesn't appear Tanner Engstrom's going anywhere, not that we know of yet, at least. And so it appears they might have an offensive and a defensive pass game coordinator, which is interesting in and of itself, right? Because obviously you want to keep the passing offense as good as it's been, but there needs to be more attention given to the passing defense. And so maybe splitting up those duties and giving more resources to them individually is going to help the team out. I don't know for sure that that's how they were divvying up duties. It was my understanding that was how they used to be divvying up responsibilities. So this makes sense to maybe give more responsibilities, more resources to the defense, to Aaron Glenn, and Townsend's, another former player, guy that comes with a relatively good reputation. Nothing stellar in his resume, his coaching resume, but a guy that certainly knows how to coach corners as a former corner. So we'll see.
Well, you mentioned it in there too, Ryan, Tanner Engstrom returning. He was a candidate out there, the offensive coordinator for at least 3 teams, New England, Tampa Bay, and Seattle. But all those positions really filled up. I'm kind of curious to think what this could have been. I know Engstrom is one of those potential candidates who they want to keep in house in case Ben Johnson goes somewhere next year. And maybe he becomes the offensive coordinator, promote from within. But what do you make of Tanner Engstrom returning to Detroit?
I think you hit on it, right? Like the Lions have a not obvious or not a clear, but a contingency plan in case Ben Johnson does eventually, stop calling plays for the Detroit Lions, which I don't know. Who knows? We'll see if Schefter carried enough water this offseason to block Ben Johnson from getting a job. But yeah, Jeremy, is that I think that's a fair assessment, right? It's cool. It's awesome to get the band back together.
Yeah. And it is kind of weird too. They're keeping the essential parts together, but I also I'm not sure if concerned is the right word, but it's at least eyebrow raising that the Lions have cycled through a lot of defensive coaches. Aubrey Pleasant is gone. We don't really know what the case is with Dre Bly right now, since Deshae Townsend is, according to Pro Football Talk, going to be the cornerbacks coach. The Lions lose their DB coach, which we're going to talk about in a minute with Brian Duker. And then you look on the defensive line, Aiden Hutchinson is going to have 3 different defensive line coaches in 3 years. Same with Aleem McNeil. That can't be really good, right? They've cycled through some linebacker coaches too, right? Like that old Chicago Bears linebacker coach. I can't even remember his name right now, but
I would think after the performance from this past year, I think it's still warranted. What the big problem besides coverage for the DBs is just tackling all year. And that's I know a lot of people, we would have these, I'd have fights with fans over Aaron Glenn over this stuff. Aaron Glenn's making the missed tackles, but that is inherently a position coach failing. So at least for this year, it feels kind of warranted that we're turning over a lot of these position coaches. Cause this was a bit of a struggle here. Maybe you needed more than, a year with some of these guys around here, but I don't really have the answer to why they're turning them over so quickly. It is a little concerning, but at the same time, it also was a flaw in the team this year.
Right. And that's why I'm balancing these two emotions. One, you need to start getting these coaching hires right. And 2, the other side is I'm glad that Dan Campbell isn't sitting on his hands here and just being I'm going to accept these coaches that aren't getting their players to play at their full potential, right? There is value in recognizing a problem and attacking it.
Dan Campbell's never shied away from that.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a laundry list of Anthony Lynn and Aubrey Pleasant. There's a lot of instances of Dan Campbell in season making those changes, right? But I think the interesting thing about Brian Duker, though, and I think this is where we're kind of wrapping up with the coaching stuff, but Duker was promoted all 3 years he was in Detroit.
Yeah.
He went from, defensive assistant to safeties coach. What happened last year, guys? The safeties played really well. what did Brian Duker do? He earned a promotion to being the defensive backs coach. Like that seemed just like a logical progression and succession for a guy who like seemed to be doing his job well, right? Like, so I get some of the maybe concerns that Jeremy has, but also like for a case like Duker, like, I mean, that guy like is clearly like getting promoted. I mean, I can't speak to how well the defensive backs played this year in Detroit.
But like he was a guy that almost certainly oversaw Ifatu Melifonwu going from corner to safety, right?
Sure. Yeah, there's that. And Miami, right? Like he is getting the passing game coordinator title as well. So it's not like he's making a straight lateral move. Like he's getting a promotion in terms of responsibilities.
Yep. Yeah. And so, yeah, like it's kind of a mystery at this point, and we won't really know until the Lions officially announce all their coaching changes, which will probably come in the coming weeks. Like, okay, how are you divvying up your defensive back duties now? Deshae Townsend, is he going to be your cornerbacks coach? Is he going to be your defensive backs coach? Is Dre Bly staying in town? Who's going to coach the safeties? It's a critical position, right? But we're expecting pretty significant overturn in that room, and they're making changes there because they want improvement. So I don't know if they have all the horses that they want in that coaching staff right now, but I can't say I'm like super excited about it right now. I like Deshae Townsend. I'm going to be quite honest here. I'm not thrilled with the job Dre Bly has done so far. I mean, I suppose you can give him some credit for Brian Branch, but the outside corner was kind of a mess this year. And you could even say a guy like Jerry Jacobs took a step back, and I don't know. Without Brian Duker in that room too, I think that was a good piece that you no longer have. So I'm hoping there's still an ace up the sleeve somewhere.
I think we covered everything. I think we're good for the offseason.
Are we done for the offseason?
No, that still lasts for a very long time, unfortunately.
God, yeah, my hopes.
We have more content coming. We'll do a recap at some point, I think, of the season. Plenty to talk about because guess what? We only have a month. If you're listening on the podcast, we have a month, and it's a short month because it's February, to go before free agency.
True.
That's it. That's all the time you're going to get. Because then after that, we're going to be hitting you with the draft. We might even start hitting you with the draft a little bit early, too, on some stuff. It's all going to keep continuing because the NFL doesn't really sleep, does it?
We're going kicking and screaming, but yes, we have a job to do.
We do. You've been screaming a lot for it.
The draft?
No.
Oh.
No. If there's anything, I am sure there is something that we have proven on this podcast that everyone on this podcast loves. It's talking about the draft. And that
as evidenced by the dead air.
Yes. Goodbye, everyone. We'll see you Starside. Is this stopping?
I do not.
Recording stopped.
There we go. Second post. Okay.
You should leave that. Is it stopping in there?
Is it stopping?
No. I do need to go find my phone. I think I left it in the car, so I need a second. So don't log off without me. I want to say a couple things, but I'm gonna go find my phone.
All good. Only have one alert. Monkey81, thank you for the 11 months here on Twitch. Yeah, I think I'm caught up there. Do we want to do a spin on the Wheel of Pain? Feel like we owe at least one. Why can't I remember the Streamlabs. Damian Smith, £2 donation on YouTube super chat. Says Lions press conference before the combine. Before the combine, I'm trying to get my combines at the end of this month. I don't think you're going to get anything before the combine. You'll get both Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell at the combine. And then shortly after that, at the end of the next month, at the end of March. Well, yeah. At the end of March, there's the owners meetings. I'll be down in those at Orlando. Free agency. I'm trying to remember. Do we get any coaches during free? I don't think we do. You get the players. You might get a positional coach.
We got Dan last year.
Did we?
Before the
free
draft?
agency? No, I said free agency.
Free agency. Yeah. No. I don't think so.
Yeah. So I think in terms of when you're going to see coaches and GMs next, you'll get Brad and Dan at the combine. You'll get both and maybe Sheila. Definitely you'll get Rod Wood at the owners' meetings at the end of March. But I don't know if you get coach or GM during free agency. I think you just get the new... You pretty much get every player who signs a significant contract, whether it's a re-signing or a new player. And I don't think you get a positional coach either. You might, but I don't think so.
Can I say how skeptical I am that the Lions are going to get new jerseys this offseason?
Are you?
Yeah,
What?
I'm very skeptical.
I don't have any skepticism at all. Why?
Really?
Yeah. Just because it's been quiet?
Well, I mean, I guess it has been quiet because the Lions have been playing football. Like,
Sure.
maybe if they had a reason to make noise, they would have made noise about it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I'm trying to remember back to 2017. Like, I'm trying to remember like the teases or any of that stuff in terms of the buildup. Like,
Yeah.
if they announce that, like, they're going to want to announce that probably, like, you would say, like, before the draft, right?
I would think so. They announced it mid-April 6-7 years ago or whenever it was. It would make sense for me to like
April 14th or
Yeah.
13th.
like if you're hosting the draft, you certainly want, when you're holding up the jersey of your next first round pick, I think that jersey is good. You're going to want to be that new jersey.
Yeah, and also the team is good now. Like the team's really good now. Like, don't you want to make new jerseys of the players and strike while the iron's hot?
Yeah. I think it's going to happen. This isn't me coming from an insider-y perspective other than the fact that Rod Wood seemed pretty clear when talking about it last year, and they were eligible for the first time last year, but he's like, yeah, no, we're targeting 2024. And that, like, I just did a mailbag for the newsletter coming out tomorrow, by the way, if you're a Pride of Detroit Direct subscriber. And someone asked about the new uniforms, and yeah, like, my main takeaway is, like, seems like everything's on track at this point, and we'll probably know for sure at the latest during the owners' meetings when we talk to Rod Wood. Because every single time we talk to Rod Wood...
somebody's going to ask him, too.
Yeah, every single time we talk to Rod Wood, someone asks about uniforms. No matter, like, if we're not even eligible to do them yet or whatever, an alt helmet, an alt, color rush, whatever. Like, he's going to get asked about it then. And so my guess is that we get some sort of announcement or tease or something before then so that Rod Wood doesn't have to announce it there. But at the very latest, you're going to hear whether we're going to get new uniforms or not by, what is it? It's like March 27th or something.
They need him so bad, but I'm probably going to be upset with them.
You're going to be upset with them because no matter what, run from it. They're going to give you a black alternate.
No.
Find a new team to root for.
That's all it would take for you to jump ship.
That's it.
Just become an Atlanta Falcons Kyle Pitts fan.
I am letting you know it is going to happen.
All right. Well,
it's time for the spin wheel. It's time for the wheel of pain. If you guys don't know, maybe you just joined us recently. During November, we had a charity drive where we raised over $40,000. And every 1,000? Every 1,000 that we earned.
Every 1,000 and every 5,000 was
every 10,
extreme.
10,000 was.
Or was it 10,000 for 10?
Yeah. So every $1,000 that we raised, we spend what you are seeing on the screen, which is the Wheel of Pain. Every 10,000, We spin a wheel of extreme pain, which has a whole bunch of worse things on them. We still owe. We are backlogged because the last day we got like $20,000, and so we weren't going to spin the wheel 20 times in one day. So we owe 5 regular spins and 2 wheel of pains, 2 extreme wheel of pains. I think I'm willing to knock out one of each right now.
I just wish I had the stuff with me to participate.
When are you going to?
I'm okay. I'll start bringing it, but like it's a track. Like I come up to school to record, so like I have to remember so many things.
bring a gallon of milk, a bowl,
bring milk,
spoon,
jelly beans.
I need to buy more saltines. I keep forgetting to buy more saltines every time. You know what? I just have my shopping list open here. I'm gonna add saltines to my list.
We do not owe interest. That's not how this works.
No. There's no APR on the Wheel of Pain.
I couldn't be doing, eating bugs while I'm at Ford Field or whatever. Or in San Francisco.
Well, Indigo is saying that is how it works. Though.
Indigo, you are not the boss. You're not even a mod, let alone the boss.
Wow.
Oh, jeez.
All right.
All right. Spin that thing.
I'm spinning it. Here we go. Bean Boozled for myself. So if you don't know what Bean Boozled is, these are now also probably going to be stale at this point. They are flavored jelly beans, half of which are disgusting flavors, half of which are, I wouldn't say delicious, but regular flavors, because jelly beans are probably the most overrated candy.
Up there.
And you don't know which one you're going to get because the regular flavor and the gross flavor look identical.
See, Indigo.
Don't
Flattery will get you everywhere.
No, see. This is his, like, he's running the Indigo playbook right now.
Oh man, Marty, yeah.
Oh my god!
What?
I pulled all 3 the same.
Are those the vomit or the dishwater ones?
I think this is dead fish.
Oh, really?
Or strawberry banana. Is that right? Although one of these might be peach or barf. Maybe all of them. I don't know.
I was thinking either the vomit, the barf, or the. Do they look similar on the box?
They do. Like, you probably won't be able to see this, but
or the bag, I should say. Oh, yeah. I think those look like the bottom right ones.
Yeah, dead fish.
Dead fish.
Yeah, and strawberry. But it could be barf or peach.
Hey.
So now there's 4. And dead fish is one of the worst. To me, dead fish and the bandage one, old bandage. Those are my 2 least favorite. I don't even have water right now. All right. Let's just knock them out. All right. Number 1.
Let's go. We also have a hot one stream that we will be doing this off season.
And a cooking stream.
That is flavorful. That tasted like strawberry banana.
I was about to say, if you thought the dead fish was flavorful, we were going to have...
No, I wasn't sure if it was that or peach at first, but strawberry banana. Good start. That's a great start. Number 2. Zazu heard some bag rustling. Now he wants.
Oh no.
I want beef jerky.
Probably. Dead fish.
What does dead fish taste like? Soy sauce or what?
I don't know.
Not good,
Nah.
apparently.
It's one of those that lingers too.
Mm.
Like on every part of the tongue. Oh,
Does not sound like an enjoyable experience.
No.
it's not.
You've been being boozled. I'm gonna start doing that every time.
Was
now.
that a cheerleader thing? What was that?
I don't know. It's my
Ryan
new-
doesn't Ryan doesn't realize Zoom cuts out like really aggressively on stuff like claps, so we just heard nothing from you on that.
You saw the motion at least.
Yeah.
Number 3.
This doesn't hit as well without Sharpie all over your face and a cowboy hat.
Fair. That one was a fruity one, so that one was either peach or strawberry banana. Get wrecked, chat. All right. Let's turn it up a notch here, though.
Odd.
Are you talking about the extreme wheel
Yep.
of pain, or are you talking about this McDonald's order that I'm putting in? Right now?
Thank you for that. I don't have anything to eat around here. I might just put in a Taco Bell order.
I'm only going to make this 3 because I really only have 3 good ones. I don't have Malort. I'm not going to put...
I have some Malort. It's been sitting in there forever.
Do you want to risk that?
Fuck it, I guess. I've been skimping on a lot. Here's the problem: is I've been skimping on a lot of these because I just refuse to put evil things in my stomach because I have a sensitive gut. But like, sure, I've done Malort before. I can
Okay.
risk that, I guess.
The only other option I have on here that I'm not going to be able to put on here is ice down the pants. And there's 2 reasons. One, I don't have any ice right now.
Nice.
Secondly, I don't think it's worth it at the very end of a stream to do ice down pants. I feel like that's a first break thing where you get to see someone struggle for the entire show.
We could do it. We could do it to. You or me start next POD cast with ice in the pants.
We could, but that would be a little bit of a letdown to do.
Would it?
To like spin it now and then have to wait until next stream. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So the 4 options are sour pickleballs, which we haven't done yet. Which, if we get it, hopefully the Amazon reviews that I read are still up there because they're terrifying. Smelling salts, which I've also never done, but I'm a little intrigued.
I'm waiting for the human fleaman response from you at that one.
Fart spray, which I've done once and ruined my entire day. And then the Malort shot.
Don't make me regret this.
Are we ready, chat? What do you want, chat? Before I spin this thing, what are you hoping for? If I had to guess, y'all probably want some fart spray. Monty wants a pickleball.
What's this double Big Mac nonsense? Who wants to eat that?
Jesus.
Who wants to eat that? That doesn't even it's not an enjoyable experience.
I've never really understood the bread in the middle of a burger sandwich thing that McDonald's does. I don't want that.
Yeah, I don't need that extra bread. Troy
Shit,
Barnes wants to eat the double Big Mac.
I just realized, I got to get all my shitty eating out of the way because tomorrow's Fat Tuesday.
Over on YouTube, Fartman3333 says fart spray.
Well done.
And then says, do I even need to say why? No, you don't.
Top YouTube comment.
Add chug a beer? Do you want me to add chug a beer? I do have beer. I have no problem adding chug a beer. Does someone want that?
Just
other
turn it
than
up on a
Indigo?
Monday night.
We can't just give Indigo full reign here. But if it gets enough support, I'll add it.
We
Maybe
could
just spin it already?
We could give him though. We could give him full reign.
VR Spry Guy, I'm not going to give you my address, but we do have a P.O. box if you ever want to send me things to. I currently don't have keys to the P.O. box because they're sitting in the San Francisco airport. Still in the same place.
God.
But
Sorry,
I do
It's not funny, but it's funny.
I do plan on going to the post office this week and figuring that out. Ryan has to chug a beer at school.
That's against the law. 1, 2.
Is it really?
Yeah, you can't drink alcohol at
After hours?
at a high school. No. What? Where do you think? What?
I don't know.
That's wild.
I've never even thought about it. But by the way, as of 9 minutes ago,
What?
still in the same spot. The exact same spot in the goddamn terminal. Terminal 1 at San Francisco. Has not moved. Anyways.
Sorry, bud.
All right. Chug beers for the normal. All right, we're just going to spin it as is then. Indigo denied. I don't sell beers. What? Stop it. All right, here we go. I got some bad news, Chris.
Is it Malort time?
It is Malort time.
All right. Let me go see what I got. Here's the thing, too. That Malort has been like, since it was a little sample bottle and I only used a little bit of it, it has been sitting there just
Open?
aging like a fine wine for about 2 years. For like 2 years.
Oh, no.
Whenever I did that god awful, like, put together Chris's shot thing. Actually, was that a year ago or was that 2 years ago? What was that? I don't remember. Whatever.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way, I'm getting the Malort.
See Marty's comment.
Maybe. Yeah, that's as good of theory as I've heard so far. I've emailed the Lost and Found at San Francisco Airport twice with screenshots of that map. Both times like, yeah, we don't have it. Here's a number to call. Called the number probably a dozen times at this point. No one ever picks up. You leave a message, and I've never gotten a call back.
I feel like I've heard it's kind of like the equivalent of the fart comment over on YouTube is Troy Barnes 5. I greatly appreciate this.
Yeah. Yep. The community reference.
Yeah, it's very on the nose. But I saw like community news. Did you see any of this stuff?
Movie stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah. The script is written.
Yeah, like the script is like Abed is like an actual successful director.
All
like
right.
that's what I heard Donald Glover say.
I hadn't heard specifics of the script yet, but that seems like the self-reflective nature of Community.
Yeah.
Are you going to drink the whole thing?
So here's the thing. It's not really a shot anymore. Let me hold up. I've got a sake cup that's pretty much a shot. Let me see. I could do. I wanted to drive after this too. There we go. I just poured out everything that was in this, so that's pretty much all I've got.
There it is. Chat while Chris is setting up to do this Malort shot, I need to see what your favorite chicken nugget sauces are in chat. What's your go-to?
For McNuggies?
Yeah, for McNuggets, yeah.
Buffalo.
I've never gotten McNuggets. Not really big
Really?
on McNuggets. I always grew up... No. The only thing I used to eat from McDonald's for a long time was the filet fish. We were much more about the Wendy's nuggets than the McNuggets.
I don't think I've ever met anybody in my entire life who hasn't had chicken nuggets. Chicken McNuggets.
Oh, I've had them before, but like they are absolutely not on any order. Like I find them terrible.
I prefer them to Wendy's. I don't like Wendy's nuggies.
All it is just fucking batter and nothing else. Like,
yeah,
it's
the batter is better. Like
but they have no flavor. Like I need to salt them when I feel like Jerry Jones when I get McNuggets. They have no salt, no pepper, no seasoning, nothing.
I mean, the chicken is bad in all of the fast food nuggies. I think we can all probably agree with that.
But at least I can get by at least with Wendy's nuggets, where it's like, all right, I at least taste like I'm eating chicken.
I don't know.
Spicy nuggets is the way to go, Big Aries.
That's what I get if I go to Wendy's, but like even that, it's just like I'm eating pepper.
Anyway, but that said, I don't think McDonald's has it, but that ghost pepper, the ghost pepper ranch with Wendy's nuggets, that's the way to go.
Chat does not seem to have any sort of consensus about dip.
A lot of it is Chick-fil-A sauce, which I don't think we're talking
I'm talking about
McDonald's.
McDonald's because I'm ordering McDonald's.
A couple sweet and sour.
Yeah,
I think you just get barbecue sauce.
I go honey mustard.
Honey mustard's good too. I'm a big honey mustard guy.
See, MNUFC agrees with me. Wendy's nuggets are just a pepper bomb. Yeah, it's just
Yeah. Pepper is delicious. It puts flavor in things.
but it's
something
just
McDonald's should
pepper.
understand. Because God knows, every time I've gotten a McChicken, there's been a shitload of pepper in it.
Ugh, McChicken is maybe the most disgusting thing they have to offer.
I've learned
Just
the
like
hack
this-
on McChicken. I've learned the hack on McChicken. Get the lettuce off it.
that would help.
Lettuce is disgusting. That
But
lettuce on a McChicken is disgusting.
there has not ever been a bite out of a McChicken that I've had that hasn't produced a blob of gross mayo somewhere on my face.
They put
Like-
so much mayo on those. They put so much mayo on those.
Have
you
you
got more
had-
mayo than chicken.
Have you ever had a McChicken that hasn't resulted in a piece of lettuce wrapping itself around your lip?
No, because as
The
I
way
said,
that
I
it's just so wet and mayo just saturated.
I
It
don't.
just-
I tell them no lettuce. Sometimes I'll add cheese to it, but like if I find even a piece of lettuce in there, I'm taking it back.
The McChicken's sole purpose on the menu is to just be ordered and put inside a McGriddle. That's the only purpose for the McChicken.
Well, you can get those. No, you can get those in the morning now. You can get the
yeah.
chicken McGriddles.
Do they? Yeah, I don't know if they only do it at certain places.
Yeah,
I know they do it here in LA. So
the question was raised by McSpearmint, why would you ever go to McDonald's ever? And the only acceptable answer is breakfast. The breakfast still slaps.
I don't even. I don't. You know what? I'm moving off the breakfast. I'm moving to Taco Bell for breakfast.
Oh no. Maybe you know what? At some point I need to revisit Taco Bell breakfast
Breakfast Crunchwrap has become the truth for me.
because I don't enjoy. I had it once and I did not enjoy it at all. But
They
I don't,
also
like-
have like a breakfast burrito where they actually put tomatoes in there. The big toast. It's like the big toasted burrito, not the cheesy one.
But-
also, one of our update anchors, Monse Bolaños, keeps bringing in to the studio the cheesy breakfast burritos from Taco Bell, and they're so good.
see, MNUFC, this is where I disagree strongly. As a
Strong disagree.
I think fast food breakfast is delicious. I think it's great.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
The show
mean,
is very
breakfast-
pro fast food breakfast.
and part of that is just like the breakfast sandwich in general is such a great food. And we've done listcasts just on breakfast sandwiches before.
I have a Hamilton Beach like breakfast sandwich maker. Like so like you can assemble it all together and make one at home, but like yeah, and it doesn't matter from where. Like I'll go to Wendy's for breakfast. Carl's Jr. has those grilled cheese breakfast sandwiches that I just destroy me, but I will eat those. Arby's had breakfast when I was in Savannah, Georgia. Someone's mentioning Indigo's mentioning Tim Hortons. I crushed Tim Hortons breakfast all the time.
I do very often. There's one very close to me, and now
Great
they have
breakfast sandwich.
they have a great. They now have
That
like they're
biscuit.
doing this like $6 meal right now, which it gets
Oh
you
man, yeah,
a-
I'd be all over that.
a sandwich, a hash brown, a donut, and a small coffee for $6.
Dasiga brings up the Chick-fil-A breakfast. Their breakfast burrito with the chicken fingers in it is really good.
I've never had Chick-fil-A breakfast. I will say that for a while now, I've been going to Dunkin' for breakfast. It's not good.
Unfortunate.
Yeah,
I
You
don't
know-
know.
you know
I
who
don't know if
has-
it's just my Dunkin', but like, I've tried to talk myself into it being good, and there's a McDonald's across the street. I'm going to the McDonald's from now on.
Yeah. 2 notes on that. Number 1, the greatest thing the pandemic took from us, besides millions of lives, all day McDonald's breakfast. They
that
stopped
doesn't
doing it.
exist anywhere anymore.
They stopped rolling it out at the pandemic.
Dang.
2, is there a bigger disconnect in I will go there for breakfast versus I don't want anything to do with the rest of their menu than the than the sausage, egg, and cheese croissant sandwich at Burger King?
Yeah,
It is
that
goated. It is goated.
we've done, dude. Time's a flat circle. We do this every offseason.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're exactly where we need to be. But because I know other people's takes,
Yeah.
like I know that Jeremy at Burger King has something that he loves,
Yeah.
and it's a sweeter
Yep.
breakfast item.
It's the only sweet breakfast item that I really would regularly order from a place. Although I never go to Burger King, period. But if I did,
It's the French toast sticks, right?
that's incorrect.
What
Wow.
is it? What is
it?
You
I-
dip it in syrup, though, right?
It's the Cine Minis that you dip in
Okay.
icing.
Okay, the icing. Okay, that's right.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know if those still exist, but that was the greatest of treats to me as a kid.
I will not touch the rest of Burger King's menu unless I am desperate for a chicken sandwich. But you sell me on 2 sausage, egg, and cheese croissant sandwiches from Burger King, and I'm crushing those things within like 30 seconds flat.
How, has anyone tried the Burger King? This is going off breakfast, so buckle up. Has anyone tried their wraps?
No,
their
I
extreme
found out
ripoffs
actually.
of the McDonald's wraps that no
Oh,
longer
actually,
exist.
I did not plus bite. I think so. I tried their wraps. I tried the Carl's Jr. wraps, which were a giant ripoff. For reasons I won't go into here. If you are familiar with any of Carl's Jr.'s very small chicken tenders, that's what they put in a wrap. I think the KFC wraps were the best ones they did, but they're already off the KFC near me. They're already off the menu. But the KFC ones at least won because they had like good flavors, including like the macaroni and cheese and the spicy slaw.
Spicy
Not-
slaw.
The spicy slaw one was very good.
Interesting.
Anyway,
If you ever go to Burger King, make sure you order your food
Malort.
prepared for. Oh yeah, well, let's get to that.
here's the thing for Burger King. I will never forgive them for taking off. There used to be the Tender Crisp chicken sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
It was
was
very
there to-
good.
That was my favorite thing, and I've never forgiven them for deep sixing that item.
I think I've mentioned this before. I used to live the worst Burger King. The service is horrible. The food is horrible.
Yeah.
Don't go to the one on Ann Arbor.
I think you're
Road.
talking. I think everybody can say that though, Jeremy.
And
Like everybody can say that they live next to the worst Burger King.
except for Alex Reno, who claims he lived
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
by the best one.
The bougie Boston Burger King.
No. This was in
Oh,
Westland somewhere.
hold on. All right, let's
All right.
not bury the lead here.
Yeah, let's get this Malort.
I have a
done.
canister of water here just in case, because this might destroy me. It smells like detergent.
Stop smelling it. Just drink it.
There's been no buildup, unlike because we got distracted on fast food. Okay. Not the worst thing I've.
Spoke too soon.
It's like turpentine. It's a cleaner. No, I'm not going to hurl, but I'm going to need it.
That
Um,
I might hurl if I took a shot of that, I think.
Oh,
I used to
yeah.
just throw up during normal shots. Like even the shots that used to make it like the first shots you'd take it'd be like a lemon drop or something. Like
God.
I have such like strong sensitivity. to
Chicago
some
is
alcohol.
not a real city. I refuse to believe that this was made by real, like that there's like Chicago people love this shit. Like this has the flag of Chicago on the bottle. This is like a pride thing for them, but like oh God.
They're monsters there.
Monsters of the Midway, some might say.
Not a real city.
I'm mildly concerned that my badge does not work after 10 p.m.
Oh no.
I don't have a way to get out if my badge does not work.
Can we join you on this journey by any chance?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, dang it.
Because I think the only way out,
Through a window.
honestly, would be through a window because the other doors are fire doors. So the fire alarm would go off.
Well, if someone lives near unnamed high school.
The problem also, though, about the window is that I am on the second floor and I cannot get into any of the classrooms on the first floor to get out the window. So I'd have to go out the second floor window. Or I'm just staying the night and I'm...
Can't wait for your kids to come in and you're asleep at the desk and it's like, what the?
That'd be
Mr.
different
Matthews,
than any
are you
other
all right?
day.
You know, if you're stuck there, you know what we have to do. Ryan Matthews 12-hour stream.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to bed right over here. I'll keep the Zoom open. I'll keep the streaming. Like you just entertain the people for the
I'm
next
off
10
tomorrow.
hours.
I'm gonna DoorDash
Oh my God,
McDonald's
the
and
taste
tell them
will
that they
not
have to
go
throw it
away.
up to the second floor, the northeast corner of the high school.
This Malort is not going away. I taste it every time I swallow.
Chris and I are just in bad spots right now.
I mean,
Karen wants to make sure you update us on Twitter.
Yeah. I'm nervous. Like
I'm nervous for you right now.
I need to get off the call because I need to go pick up McDonald's because I ordered it. But like I also like don't want to go because
Then you'll know the answer.
I'll know the answer.
Well, I think
All
it
right.
is time we get out of here.
Yeah.
Chat, we will be live Wednesday for the midweek mailbag. I don't have a specific time for you yet, but Eric and I have decided that we're good to return on Wednesday since these are Mondays. And I'll go ahead and say it. Saturday is almost certainly going to be the return of our Twitter Spaces. So if you want to be part of our... What? No. I get X Spaces. So yeah, those are going to be coming back again. We don't have a time specifically laid out for that, but if you don't know, we do a live call-in show where it's like works like a radio show, and it will answer your questions live, and it runs even longer than this if you can believe it. So if you
welcome to the off season. We are bored.
exactly.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm also working on some. I mean, I don't know what you're going to do with First Bite, and I haven't talked this with Jeremy at all because I keep asking Jeremy if we can talk, and then just like forget about it.
I was extremely stressed out last week.
Oh, I last week was my first time actually having a week off, so like I basically did not move from this place. But we'll talk off air about it. But I'm trying to get a Rolodex together of some interesting guests here for our.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be branded First Bite, but it will definitely be a couple of interview series we will do.
Excellent. I'm excited for all that. So that's what you have coming to you soon. Like Chris said, we don't quit in the off season, so plenty of ton of content coming your way. Audio.
It was 2 quiet weeks of just one podcast. That is no longer the case.
Nope. Ramping it back up. But for the rest of the night, we're probably going to be off the air unless Ryan has to pull a 24-hour in his high school. Then he promises to go live the entire night.
Yeah.
No,
Sure. Why not? I don't have anything else to do.
I'm not actually holding him to that. But anyways, thanks for joining us. We'll see you Wednesday.